The Braves finally figured out how to win a game in Arizona yesterday afternoon. We are back. Kevin and Ben, thanks for being with us. A lot to get to on the show. The SEC meetings have been going on this week. Certainly a lot to get to from that, as they've talked about all things NIL, scheduling, transfers. Nick and Jimbo didn't really have a whole lot to say about one another. It was kind of much ado about nothing. I think Jimbo kind of said, we're good. I'm going to worry about myself now and move forward. So we'll talk about that. Also look to talk a little golf with Rich Stiles, host of the Back Nine Boys Golf Show. As, again, you have some big names that have committed to play or are going to play in the LIV Tour in London next week. That's the Saudi tour that got Phil in all that hot water. Well, guess what? Dustin Johnson, Sergio, they're all in. Show me the money. We'll talk to Rich Stiles about that coming up. And some other football things hanging out there as well, like the Atlanta Falcons trying to get us those 1980s feels all over again. So we'll get to that coming up in just a little bit. But, Ben, we got to start there with Atlanta. 1 of 3 from Arizona. Ouch. Not good. I think your average person probably couldn't name 2 or 3 guys on the Arizona Diamondbacks. And you lost 2 out of 3. You're 10.5 back of the New York Mets. We talked about this easy run. Or easier run, I should say, in the schedule. No winning, no pro game obviously is easy, but a easy turn in the schedule, and you've actually lost ground to the Mets in this stretch. Still a lot of it to go, but how disheartening is it that you really haven't made up any ground at all on the New York Mets?
It is disheartening. It's very disheartening, Kevin, because as you mentioned, I mean, you talk about a stretch that's not going to get much favorable for a Braves team that's still, I mean, when they put it all together, you kind of can see like how the Braves will go out there and dominate. It's winning 6-0 last night. But the thing about this Braves team is, they show signs of brilliance throughout the game, and then they show signs of, still trying to figure it out. Ronald Acuna Jr. in and out of the lineup. You start talking about this lineup that is really, 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 really dangerous when they hitting the ball. Then you talk about being able to take advantage of a bullpen that, like I say, when the Braves are playing with leads, they're a better team. But it's very, very disheartening when you say, 2 out of 3 for Arizona is good. Losing 2 out of 3 is obviously because these pesky Mets, I mean, somebody need to tell them that, hey, man, y'all the Mets. We need y'all to slow down a little bit at this point. But when I watch this Braves team, Kevin, it's just hard for us because the last 4 years, all you've known is they win the division. You don't, because when you win the division, you control your own destiny. You don't worry about nobody behind you. But when you are, I don't know, in that second slot, now you got to look around the National League and say, all right, how do we stack up with other divisions, which to me can, as you mentioned, Kevin, before the show, 4.5 games out of the wild card spot, which is a good thing. But at the same time, you still counting on other factors to go into it for you actually making it in the playoffs. But I just think the Bravos got to understand, you're going to get everybody's best. Like you mentioned, Kevin, all I know about Arizona is they're in Arizona. I don't know nothing about the Diamondbacks. I mean, but when you're playing the Braves this year, they're circled on everybody's, schedule. It's the Braves. Like, you take an Arizona team that's probably not going to be that good, come postseason if they make it all. And man, let's look at our team as a barometer. Well, let's look at how good we stack up against the Braves team. And as you mentioned, 1 out of 3 isn't good. I think the key number for the Braves now, Kevin, is 3 in a row. Who knows? Because they'll win 2 out of 3. They'll win 1 out of 3. If they can get that 3 out of 3 and hopefully start, because they're going to have to start winning some games, consistently now, because 10.5, and you start talking about 11.5, 12.5. Before the All-Star break, that puts you in a, it's going to be a sprint to the finish no matter what after the All-Star break. But I do think this Braves team, we keep on talking about it, putting it together. They're going to have to find a way to get consistent with their play because, like I said, while schedule-wise it's favorable, they're still the defending World Series champs, and everybody's going to get their best.
Sure. I think the most disconcerting thing to me is, we've talked about a number of things, is just the fact that you haven't been able to string together any type of reasonable success. And by that, I mean, you haven't gone through a stretch seemingly where you've won, 8 out of 10. You can't even, as you said, Ben, it's not unheard of. I mean, the Pirates just swept the Dodgers. I'll say that again. The Pirates just swept the Dodgers. We have not seen the Braves win 3 in a row against anybody, not against one team, they haven't been able to string together 3 wins in a row against anybody. And to me, that's some of that is baseball, but a lot of that, when you're a good team or expected to be a good team, that isn't baseball, because it's about finding that groove. And yeah, we're not going to go out here and win every day, but we can win 7 out of 10. We can win 8 out of 10. And we haven't seen anything remotely close to that kind of run for the Braves. It's win 2, lose 2, win 1, lose 2, win 1, win 2, lose a couple. So there hasn't been anything where you could say, wow, the Braves put together a good week of baseball. And that's not anything to, put on the front page headlines and be like, hey, the Braves had a good week of baseball, but they haven't had a good week of baseball from start to finish yet this season. And to me, that is one of those things that good teams don't do. I mean, it's kind of a funny quirk. Much like last year, I think they win 13, 14 games in a row where they alternated wins and losses. And that was just kind of one of those things. But we haven't seen this team put together any kind of moderate success. And Ben, that's to me hard to build upon. We say, hey, every time we think we got some momentum, you lose a game and you're going, what happened? And not that it's like, hey, you go out and you lose a game and say, hey, here's an opportunity to put 3 good games together, and you lose 6-1, and you're going what happened? And to me, that's the most interesting, infuriating part, I guess, about watching this Braves team play is just, it makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. With that, you have guys who are Gold Glove caliber, making errors in the infield. You can't hit consistently. You can't hit with runners in scoring position consistently. You strike out a lot, and then some days it doesn't make a whole lot of sense as to why this team hasn't put together 3 or 4 days. Because to me, that's not asking a lot. Everybody does that. The Nationals have done that. They're not a great team. The Pirates have done that. They're not a great team. You're going to Colorado. The Rockies have done that. They're not a great team. So to me, that's the most frustrating part, is that you just haven't had even a moderate run of sustained success here in 2022.
Expectations is the only thing that's going to lead to disappointment when you talk about any level of sports. The thing about this Braves team up until this point has been a very, very disappointing season. And sometimes, Kevin, the pressure of any season is on every team, whether you're a contending team or not. Well, who has more pressure on them than defending World Series champs than the Braves? And I think what happens is when you get to watching them play, they'll show signs of doing some incredible things. But then you'll say to yourself, most teams, right? This is just most teams. It's bottom of the 4th, top of the 5th. You up 4-0, man. That team got to scratch and claw to get back in the game. Next thing you know, the Braves tied up in the 9th. Then they got to go to extras, which has not been the Braves' friend this year, going to extras.
And you were up 4 or 5 runs this weekend and lost a game like that in extras.
So. Yeah, so I just think that sometimes, Kevin, look, the Braves have created a level of expectation outside of Truist Park, throughout the NL, throughout the AL, that they're going to figure it out. They just haven't figured it out. Doesn't mean they're not a good team. It's almost like, if we talking to college coach, they'll say, dude, we may be a better team on paper, but not in the win-loss column. Like, we're a better team, but as far as which two things could be true at the same time. This Braves team is going to match up. But look, man, give the Mets a lot of credit. Look, man, we're going to load up with these pitches. And, even though DeGrom is hurt and different things like that, we understand that for us to win the division, we got to put some distance between us and everybody else. Well, so far, so good. I just think that for this Braves team, they're going to have to look themselves in the mirror, start saying to themselves, look, it's great that you're calling guys up. But usually when you're calling guys up, it's because you got a big problem in certain positions, which, I mean, you can look at it as a gift and a curse. Also, everybody had to get called up at a certain point. It's easy to get called up when the team is contending. Hey, man, let's call the guy up. I want to see how he plays, on a good team. Or call him up because we have a need bad right now. I just think that, Kevin, the Braves are not going to get any sympathy around the league. They don't have to, it's definitely not in this division. Zero. But I just think that at the same time, you're gonna have to start stringing some wins together. Like you said, it's a game of rhythm, right? It's a game of consistency. And right now, the Braves aren't consistent at all. They're as my coach said, we are consistent at being inconsistent. At this moment, we got to find a way to get some consistency going. And who knows, Kevin? Because like I say, the one thing the Braves who got on their side, the Mets are not used to being in this position. Can they hold up? Can the Braves keep pace? Can the Braves chase them down?
Again, well, you keep pace. They are not doing that for right at this moment. 10.5 games out. So much to get to here on the show. Hit us up on Twitter at Pigskin Radio. We're streaming live, ESPNCoastal.com as well. And you can watch us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Go to our YouTube channel. there at ESPN Coastal on YouTube. Love for you to be a part of the show. You can leave us a comment there. We'll bring you up here on the show. But the SEC meeting's been going on in Destin. A lot of talk about scheduling. How could this thing play out? Earlier this week, Christian and I did a little exercise. I'll let you know how I kind of laid it all out there. When we come back, it's 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back here. 3 and Out. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop. Thanks for being with us on this Thursday. SEC meetings there in Destin. Of course, they're talking about NIL. They're talking about transfer portal stuff. They're talking about what happens when Oklahoma and Texas come in the league and how we're going to do this thing. Right? So they seem to be favoring like a 3-5 model where you get 3 common opponents, Ben, every single year to play. Not a pod system. So basically everybody's getting different opponents.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not Alabama, Tennessee, Vandy, and Kentucky, and they all play each other. No, that's not what this. That's apparently the pod system is dead. It'll be 16 pieces in the stew, and you'll have a couple teams you play, and at the end of the year, the 2 best teams are going to play in the SEC championship game. So Christian and I were talking about this yesterday. We were on, of course, for the day game of Braves baseball, but we try to take a stab at what it would look like, just in our estimation. So Christian came up with his list. I did mine for every team in the SEC, trying my best, Ben, to preserve what rivalries I could, and also at the same time trying to make it fair and balanced as well, because I saw a great meme today, by the way, where it said, the tweet said, hey, the SEC is working real hard to come up with a schedule that everybody agrees on in this new, three game guarantee model. And here's what a lot of the teams voted for. It had every team in the SEC, and their 3 opponents were all Vandy. So, so you had to do, you had to come up with a way to make.
So Vandy is definitely on everybody's list.
Yeah, everybody's like, can we have Vandy? Everybody says they want Bama. They really want Vandy.
Yeah.
So, I try to make it fair so that even a team like Vandy could have a chance to compete and do what they do. So this is not in alphabetical order. I started to be cool, and it's like, hey, I'll put it in alphabetical order. And then once I got past A, I was like, I don't worry about that. So I just wrote down all the teams and came up with the 3 teams I think they should play as their permanents. Again, Greg Sankey, if you're listening, of course I would like you to use mine.
And he also wants some of that cheese if you use it as well.
So if you use my model, 10% royalty, it's fine.
But for life.
Yeah, in perpetuity. If that happens, I will not be on the radio show.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, it'll be Ben by him. No, look. So this is a fun exercise, right? Because you're starting to think of, because as Christian and I were doing this, we kind of were talking back and forth amongst ourselves. We're like, man, like some of these teams really, you don't have anything to grab onto, right? Like South Carolina wants to play Georgia, right? But is that worth fighting over, right? I mean, so you got Kentucky. Who does Kentucky really get their dander up? Like, we have to play them. Right? So you got to figure some of that out. Then you have Oklahoma, Texas, and you say, well, outside of playing each other, who would you like to see them play every year? Maybe develop a new rivalry, what have you. So I sat down and did all this. And Ben, here is what I came up with. Greg Sankey, if you're listening, I think this works.
Come on.
Both in competitiveness, fairness, what have you. Now, in anything, there's going to be a few teams that might go, it's too hard. Well, SEC people walk around telling us how hard their league is, so get over it. Again, this is just the common opponents that you will play every year. So for Alabama, of course, got to go with Auburn.
Come on.
Right?
Yep.
So Auburn, the Iron Bowl. I gave them Tennessee as the 3rd Saturday in October. And then I threw Ole Miss in there. Sorry, Lane Kiffin.
I like it.
But that is one where it's like, okay, I could say LSU, but then at some point you're like, so Auburn, Tennessee, LSU, that's what we're going to get every year. And then you start looking at who LSU can get to play, and you're going, okay, so do I have to have Alabama, LSU every year? For me, I don't, because again, hear me out. If you think these teams are good, there is a possibility Alabama and LSU could play for the championship.
And in the last 10 years, for those people who don't really understand that, in the last 10 years, LSU has beaten Alabama one time. That was in 2019.
But you can't look at it through that prism, though, because obviously this might go on.
Yeah.
Well, the way college football is changing, this might go on.
This might go on for the next 3 years.
Yeah, for 3 years, and then we'll just
go right back to
and then we'll just add 2 more teams.
It'll be pod. We just won't call it pod. We'll call it sections.
Yeah. So we got Alabama with Auburn, Tennessee, Ole Miss. Then I went to Arkansas. I gave Arkansas LSU. You got the battle for the Golden Boot. I thought that was one. Arkansas, Texas.
Uh-huh.
I know somebody said you got to keep
Texas, Arkansas.
I think that'd be the old Southwest rivalry, and I gave Arkansas, Mizzou, kind of the neighboring states,
like
and then Christian goes close. And Christian said you didn't give them A&M. I was like, so they can play in Jerry World. I said, bump A&M out of there. They'll take Arkansas, Texas.
Yeah.
In a heartbeat, and I think that would be fun. So then that goes to Auburn. Auburn, I gave them Alabama with the Iron Bowl, of course. Georgia, you got to keep that. Yep. I've heard from enough Auburn and Georgia people that's like, oh, you got to keep that Deep South oldest rivalry, all that. And then I gave Auburn LSU. I'll tell you why I did Auburn LSU, because you could say, well, you just said Alabama. Auburn LSU for Kevin Thomas reasons only. That's because that game is beautifully appealing to my eyeballs.
Come on.
You get that blue, that gold, the white uniforms of LSU with the gold pants, the white and the blue of all. Like, it makes my eyeballs feel good to watch that game.
I'm gonna have the navy blue and orange versus that gold and purple. Hey man, let's do it.
I like it. It makes, like I said, it's like giving my eyeballs a hug. I like that game. So sorry, Auburn. Under my plan, you're gonna have to play LSU every year.
Okay.
You got to play them every year now. So what difference does it make?
Yeah.
All right. Georgia, of course, I kept Georgia, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
I think you got to do that.
Yep.
I gave them Auburn. Deep South oldest rivalry, and South Carolina.
I like
because some people say Tennessee, and I thought about Tennessee, and I said, okay, but if I give them Tennessee, and you're going to lock Tennessee in probably with Alabama to keep that rivalry in there.
That's rough.
Who else are you going to, and then like, are you not going to give Tennessee Vanderbilt in state?
Yeah.
Are you going to get, so where do you go? And then you're sitting there, South Carolina going, so all of a sudden South Carolina's like common opponents could all be like, it's going to be way out west. So I tried to do South Carolina a solid.
Florida, Auburn, South Carolina is good for a Georgia team because you keep it two incredible rivalries. And obviously, I just think sometimes too when people don't understand how serious that Georgia South Carolina race is, it's pretty significant.
I think it's a good one, and will people miss Georgia Tennessee? Yeah, but I think it's going to come around.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said,
it'll come around often enough
every year.
Yeah, it'll come around often enough. That's what they're trying to do with the SEC meetings. Is hey, everybody's in agreement. We want to play more of our teams more often under what they were talking about. Not doing the pod system, you would play everybody in the league home and home in a 4-year cycle. I think that's good stuff for the SEC. All right, Florida, Ben, your Florida Gators. You want to take a stab at what I did? Or you saw it earlier. Full disclosure.
I would have still obviously Georgia. I would have picked Tennessee. And, it's the tricky part. Florida got a nice thing going with LSU. They got a nice thing going with Kentucky and Tennessee. But I would probably go Tennessee over the LSUs and Kentucky.
And I had LSU in there and took them out and put Tennessee in there. I had Georgia, Tennessee, and Kentucky for Florida. And again, Florida's weird because it's like, do you want to play Bama? Do you want to play Auburn? Yeah, but that's not one that I want to commit to. And Florida LSU is one that's more recent.
And Florida, Auburn used to be just, it ain't as old as Auburn, Georgia, but it used to be very significant. I think the thing is, Kevin, when you I'm trying to do my best to preserve old rivalries, but I understand that new ones are going to come up.
I mean, to me, Florida LSU is good, but as you said last week, like back when divisions first started or when they expanded, it's like, was Florida LSU a must-have game?
No.
So again, that's all I'm saying.
Georgia is a must-have for Florida. Tennessee is a must-have for Florida. And like I said,
somebody's got to play Kentucky. Congratulations.
And the Kentucky-Florida rivalry has gotten a lot better over the years.
I do. I think that's one that I think Florida probably appreciate. I think Kentucky, that's been a good game for them.
That was the longest.
And Kentucky's got to play somebody.
It was the longest. I think it was like 39 straight years Florida had beaten Kentucky. Then obviously here come Benny Snell Jr. and Josh Allen. Obviously, it hasn't been the same.
Sorry, Florida. I gave you Kentucky. So South Carolina, obviously they have Georgia, as I mentioned earlier. I gave South Carolina Mizzou because of the battles of the Columbus.
That's a better game than people know too.
I think that's one that has the potential to have some, if they can continue playing for another 10, 15 years and you kind of get that 20 to 30 year run in it, I think it's going to become a really good game. And you got that whole our Columbia versus your Columbia type situation going on. So I gave Mizzou, Georgia, and I gave South Carolina, Kentucky as well. I think that's one that's at least close. They can do. Kentucky, obviously we've talked about it. South Carolina, Florida, I gave them Mizzou as well. So Kentucky kind of gets, again, and these are games you look at and go, well, why did they get off? No, good teams under this thing are playing good teams, and the teams that are kind of in the middle are also playing teams in the middle. So everybody should benefit from this, right? I mean, Kentucky goes into, you give them South Carolina, Florida, Missouri, they got to think of our common opponents. We got a good chance at 2 out of 3 a lot of times, depending on who's up, who's down. So then I go to Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt, hey, you got to be nice to them, man. Ole Miss, Tennessee, Mississippi State. So they play. I think right now they're already every year with Ole Miss as a crossover.
They get both of the Mississippi teams in Tennessee. I like it. That's fair.
And Tennessee that was one where I was talking about Tennessee and Florida. I was like, well, what do you do? Is like, does Tennessee just not play Vanderbilt?
No.
So I'm like, yeah, you just go ahead.
You got to have the in-state
it's not a. I mean, it's not a great game that everybody circles on the map, but still, it's
been
Tennessee.
A lot more competitive over years than people give it credit.
Well, that's true, but it's Tennessee Vanderbilt. It's in the same state. Like, it just makes too much sense. They're in the same conference, for crying out loud. All right, so LSU. This is where it starts. Like, people at LSU might hate me on this one, but I tried. LSU Arkansas Golden Boot game. I think you got.
Yep.
That's one to me.
Yep.
That's worth keeping. LSU Auburn. I already mentioned. Love that game. That's beautiful. And then we see our first newcomer. I think LSU Oklahoma will be a tremendous game. And again, I think you get down to it.
Because now you're doing the brand.
But I think that's one of those. That's one of those where Oklahoma has nothing with almost anybody in the SEC. Because I was reading something in old was it Arkansas or something like that. They said even like Arkansas hasn't played against Oklahoma in some ridiculous amount of time. And so Oklahoma is like, they want to play Texas, but it's like outside of that, who could they match up with and start something? If it's going to be a common opponent, who would it be? Like Oklahoma, South Carolina, like that does nothing for anybody. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I gave him LSU, Oklahoma. Sorry. Then we get down to Texas A&M, Jimbo. And Jimbo said, bring that smoke at SEC Media Days. He's like, oh, we're looking forward to it. To playing, who, A&M v Texas, got to have it.
Oh, you got to
have it.
That old Big 12, you got to bring that back.
And I know there were some people, when it went away, they were like, fine.
Got to bring that back.
But I know there were a lot of people that said, when it ended, that's fine. There's some bad blood there. It is what you got to bring it back. Got to. Texas A&M gets them, Texas, Mississippi State.
Yep.
I mean, that was one where Mississippi State had to fall somebody. It's at least close.
Yep.
And I give them Oklahoma as well.
I like the Texas A&M renewing that old Big 12 rivalry for both Oklahoma, and Tech. You had Mississippi State. I like it.
For all you A&M fans, go, why you give us so tough? Come on, man. Your coach making $7 million, and you got the number one recruiting class, not paid for a recruiting class, by the way.
I didn't say
you got the number one recruiting.
I didn't say they did anything wrong. I said they paid for them. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't say anybody yet. We did not buy a single recruit. Well, you didn't buy him, so you're going to play Oklahoma. So Texas comes in. They get Oklahoma, obviously.
Yep.
I gave them I wrote down ATM, Texas A&M, and Arkansas. You got to.
Texas, man. You got to get right, man.
Texas, Arkansas. Oklahoma, I gave them Texas A&M, and LSU. Yep. I think Oklahoma, that's good coming in.
And listen, and for those people think, that's unfair. Texas, Oklahoma, they need to be welcomed into the gauntlet just like everybody else.
Absolutely.
With it.
You say, straight in. So you say you want to play SEC football.
Let's get right. Boomers,
do it.
Boomers.
Yeah, Missouri, I gave Arkansas, South Carolina, and Kentucky. Some of these you can kind of fill in as we go through. Tennessee got Bama, Florida, and Vandy. Whew. I mean,
it ain't right.
That's two that you had. That's two that you had to keep. And Mississippi State, or Mississippi's going to get Mississippi State, Vanderbilt, and Alabama. And Mississippi State gets Ole Miss, A&M, and Vanderbilt as well. So everybody is kind of fair for everybody.
I like the brand equity games. I like the renewing the Big 12. And the thing is this, right? The goal is to give you 3 teams that you play every year, but to make sure that everybody's playing everybody. Like, if everybody plays everybody within a 4-year span, you're getting it done. And we talking about 8 teams potentially in a East and a West, that wasn't going to work.
Yeah.
So I do like it, Kevin. I like the fact that certain teams is built in. Florida got to play Georgia. Georgia got to play Auburn, right? Tennessee got to play Vanderbilt. Texas A&M and Oklahoma. Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Texas. Sorry, I know y'all thought that y'all wasn't. We bringing y'all back together. Y'all are the family reunion that you just got to show up to because you spent your money. Show up, deal with it. I like how too when you start talking about the SEC and how new rivalries are going to be born.
Sure,
old rivalries are. But
I honestly, going back to their Southwest Conference days, you look at some of these. Like, to me, I think Texas, Arkansas. Depending on how they continue, if Sam Pittman continues, back in the day, I think Texas, Arkansas could be one of those big 3:30 national games, right? It really could. And I think there would be a lot of fervor and fan involvement, if you want to say, in that football game. So it was a fun exercise. I encourage you, if you're an SEC fan, look, it's not going to be pods. So you don't have to lump 3 teams together or 4 teams together. It's just come up with 3 common games that teams are going to play every year. Georgia, I gave you Florida, Auburn, South Carolina. I'd love to hear from you, Georgia fans. Send us a comment on Twitter at Pigskin Radio, on Facebook, YouTube. Let us know who your common 3 would be. I think it works out. Again, Greg Sankey, this is just I will say this again, that's just Kevin's picks. I think Greg Sankey would be smart if he followed that, right? I mean to me, it's bad. And again, to me, it's bad. You can't look at it recently and go, well, they've dominated. It's like, historically, some of these teams are going to go up and down.
And I will say this,
I think it's fair for everybody.
About the SEC, obviously, right now, the 2 hit teams are, Alabama and Georgia, rightfully so, right? But I think what this does is this really gives teams a chance to have a blossoming season and potentially get to Atlanta. Because I think what Greg Sankey is saying is, look, man, this is not what they're doing. This is not it. This is Kevin's picks. Yes. But go ahead, yeah. No, but what I'm saying is, Kevin, it's like we said about the ACC, right? It's so top heavy, right? Most teams are never going to make it to Charlotte because of how it's set up. The goal is to have representation of other teams. What Pitt and Wake did for the ACC is kind of like what they want. Hey, man, I want other teams to say, hey, man, okay, it's going to be outliers. 2019 LSU is an outlier. Like, they have one of the best teams all the time, but they beat everybody, right? Cool. Other than LSU, they're 8-9 win team every other year, which ain't nothing wrong with that. I think what the SEC is really saying is when they roll out this new brand of SEC, we don't want it to be Georgia, Alabama, Central, and Atlanta. Now, if that's what it is, that's what it is. But, Kevin, you know just like I know, if it's an Oklahoma or a Texas versus team, do you know how many? Now you're pulling fans from the state of Texas, from Oklahoma, which I think they're going to come anyway. So I like it, though. I do like this because, like I said, I care about everybody playing everybody. The mere fact that Notre Dame plays Georgia at home more than Alabama does. Notre Dame has been to Georgia more than in recent years. That just shows you how you're going to have to get past the East and the West.
Georgia's played Notre Dame more than they've played Texas A&M.
Exactly. So that's true. I do think that the games you're gonna make sure you got good games every week. Obviously, sorry, Vandy. No matter who we picked, it was gonna be rough.
Well, I mean, it's hard. It's hard to do it and make it fair because you want Kentucky and Vanderbilt and some of those teams say, hey, our common opponents are teams we match up well with traditionally. Match up well with, like, you don't want to go in there and say, hey, Alabama, we gave you Vandy, Kentucky, and I don't know, pick another team that traditionally has not stayed at the top. And you can go, okay, that's what we're doing. Like, no, we don't want to do that. So I tried to make it where it's like, hey, you're going to have to square off and play some people, right? Yeah. You're going to have to play some good teams in your common opponents. So that was just a fun little exercise.
I like it.
Do it at home. It's fun. Write down all 16 teams and then try to fill it out.
Yeah, we're going to have to put it up on Twitter, like how would you, with Oklahoma and Texas coming to the SEC, how would you keep it East and West, or would you go?
No, I think it's just open 16. It's what they're talking about. Is
and
just,
who would be the common opponents?
It would be, common opponents, open 16 teams. The 2 teams with the best record at the end of the year will play each other for the SEC championship. No more East, no more West. And people say, oh, you can't do that. I mean, Ben, you and I grew up in an era where there was no East and West.
Yep.
And they just played each other, and somehow they figured out a way to get to Atlanta. I'm old enough, and I don't consider myself that ancient, but I'm old enough to remember when Arkansas and South Carolina weren't there.
The first SEC championship game was in the 90s. It was versus Alabama and Florida, right?
Right.
So it ain't like all right. This is how far we come. A person born in 90 is 32 years old. Jesus. So all I'm saying is when it's not everything. Everything has a time and place. So when it comes to the SEC, it was gonna switch up.
Yeah.
No matter what, and like I said, whoever's gonna be involved in this new system, we're gonna have to get used to it. But the goal is to try to make it fair for every team involved. May the best 2 teams end up in Atlanta. We'll see what happens. But I do like this system that you and Christian have put in place.
Hey, I think it's one that has a lot of traction. With that 3-team common opponent, no pods, and made the best 2 teams play it off at the beginning of or at the end of the year. Again, I remember no SEC I remember when South Carolina and Arkansas came in. Everybody's like, oh my, what is happening? The league is ruined. There were people back there, you just can't do that. And now South Carolina and Arkansas are as SEC as they've SEC ever been at the end of the day. We'll come back. Much more to get to. Hit us up on Twitter at Pigskin Radio. You can also watch us live Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Hit us up on our YouTube channel at ESPN Coastal, and of course, all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Going to be back here on 3 and Out. Again, follow us on Twitter at Pigskin Radio, also streaming live at ESPNCoastal.com. You can live video stream us there at ESPN Coastal on YouTube and our Facebook and Twitter spots as well. So we encourage you to do that and stay involved here on 3 and Out. I did want to get to this, Ben, because, the sports has been wild lately, from all the NIL and stuff, folks getting fined. And we haven't had a chance to talk about Tommy Pham and Jock Peterson. Jock Peterson, of course, former Brave, now in San Francisco. Tommy Pham comes up late last week and slaps around Jock Peterson prior to the game. He gets suspended, and people said, what in the world? What are you fighting about before the game? And he's like, I was fantasy football, man. Like, what league are you in, Ben? Where fantasy football, which, mind you, I'm no psychiatrist, right? But fantasy football was over in like January, right? Mm-hmm. Unless you play in one of those weird leagues that actually can get you into a playoff. But most teams are done week 7. Well, now what? Week 18. Most leagues are done week 18. It was May. 5 months later, and you're still mad about some kind of IR situation, designation to happen in fantasy football? Like, what kind of high-stakes fantasy football league are you in, sir, that you're going to go up and slap a dude 5 months after the league ends about some kind of injustice in fantasy football? I mean, fantasy football peeps are some of the weirdest ones out there.
Yep.
And then Tommy Pham comes out and spills the beans. He's like, well, what was going on? He's like, well, I'll be honest, Mike Trout, not much of a commissioner. So now Mike Trout gets pulled into this thing. And I had the thought, like, being the commissioner of a fantasy league sucks. Like, it's just, there's no upside, right? All you deal with is everybody's complaining. If you win the league, you cheated. If you don't win the league, like the commissioners who don't win the league are some of those miserable people in season that you ever run across. Like, I'm the commissioner of this blasted thing, and I'm in last place. What is that, like? Carte blanche. So Mike Trout, bad fantasy commissioner, and Tommy Pham knows how to hold a grudge. 5 months.
Yep.
After that, you're going to go slap somebody around over who got designated as an IR guy in fantasy football.
Kevin, listen, now, a lot of ways you can look at this, a lot of ways to break this down. There really is, right? All right. Tommy Pham and Jock Peterson. Now, when I saw Jock Peterson getting interviewed about this, and I was like, get slapped. Fantasy, like, what are they talking about? And Jock is looking all, he's looking all like shocked in the face. Yeah, man, I kind of shocked me when he kind of did it or whatever. To the point of Tommy Pham. I mean, I don't know if Tommy Pham has ever got suspended by baseball for something, I don't know, baseball related. We got suspended 3 games. Over $100,000. Then
over fantasy, not because of baseball.
Yeah, over something not real. Then the fact that he's calling out the commissioner. Hey, man, listen. Well, Mike Trout is back. What Tommy Pham knew? Listen, I'm in Mike Trout's fantasy league, which means there are other leagues, fantasy leagues around MLB for football that you're not in. I don't know what the buy-in is for that league, but I will say this.
How do you get into Mike Trout's fantasy football?
I will say this. Mike Trout didn't like the fact that he got called out as commissioner. Like, well, listen, a lot of commissioners are bad, so it ain't like I'm the only one, even though I'm not a real commissioner. Yeah. But I just think that what happens is, Kevin, right? We as competitors, we as men, sometimes we can't cut stuff off. Think about this. For those people that say, can men hold grudges? Yes. It just depends on what the grudge is. And if you think,
fantasy football. Yeah. I mean, my God.
Okay, Kevin, we've all had somebody do something to us. And to the onlookers, it's not that bad. To you, all right, if I catch him, think about Tommy Pham for a second. He goes, whenever I see Jock, it's going down. No. Whenever I see him, you go, dude, what about the game? I don't care. Because now I really don't know what the gist of what happened, but it was worth Tommy Pham swinging on Jock to where
taking a suspension.
2 things. The managers of these ball clubs are saying, I don't want to hear about fantasy football anymore.
You have a meeting, he's like, guys, no more fantasy football.
Pham won't be playing the next 3 games because he's swinging on people because of a fantasy football game. No. This made national news, sports news, by the way. And I just think, Kevin, sometimes once again, we're gonna have to just develop, we're gonna have to get a segment on the show called You Are a Weirdo. And we're gonna tell you why. Listen, the guy arguably the best player in the Major League Baseball, makes the most money, is talking about being a commissioner of a fantasy football league. Like, that's how serious this is. Now, this is the thing, right? We all are weird. We all have little weird things we like to get into. But most fantasy leagues, it's only known by the people in the league. Now, I'm just saying, when I saw this, I just laughed at it. But now people are losing money. A lot of it.
I think it's just funny that he got suspended for something that was not even baseball related. It's like, you went out and slapped a dude over fantasy football before 5 months after.
You want to put him on the bench?
Now, if there's a gripe that I have with fantasy football, it's usually the fact that I forget to put guys in. And so I am that guy that will play like 6 dudes who are on a bye week. And then everybody's like, why did you have 6 guys on the bench? I don't know. I forgot to go check the roster. It's not something that I'm dedicated to. So
yeah, I'm not swinging. I'm not swinging on nobody.
If you're like Mike Trout, like, we saw what played out on the field. Like, what happened behind the scenes?
That's what
like,
I'm
is Tommy Pham texting Mike Trout going, hey, gotta do something about Jock now? Why? Oh, he's got that IR designation. I don't agree with it. We're gonna do. And Mike Trout's over there going, I just want to watch football. I don't want to deal with this.
Listen, I will check with my sources, and I will see what Jock Peterson is doing. Now, if you ever want to know the popularity of football, this is how popular fantasy football. And that was the whole thing about fantasy football. It was about growing the game. How do I, Mike Trout in freaking LA rooting for a team in freaking, I don't know, Philly, even though I'm pretty sure a lot of his players, he's a Philly fan. So I just think that, Kevin, what's crazy is they're not talking about baseball with baseball players. Hey, Mike, man, good game. But what you want to tell us about Farmer Peterson? We're still reviewing it. But, that's, he violated the bylaws or whatever, but hey.
I find that truly, like, to me, I saw that and I was like, this is amazing. And this is why sane people aren't commissioners of fantasy football league. This is why you get people, no offense if you're listening, Cody Queen. Yeah. That's why Cody Queen is the commissioner of your fantasy, because he's all about it.
This goes to 2 things, right?
He will rule with an iron fist.
Weirdoism and narcissism. If you are Mike Trout, it's not bad enough. Not good enough you the highest paid and you the face of baseball. No, I'm the commissioner of this league. He on a Zoom call talking about, I will not begin until you guys be quiet. Mute your mics. Are we serious right now? Crazy.
What do you name your team in the Mike Trout league? Like, do you take a dig at Mike Trout? Like, what do you do?
Do you have to send in a name? And he goes, we will review these names to decide if it fits our league.
If they're appropriate or not.
Mike Trout, who also says he's going to be a weatherman when he gets done playing baseball.
Might be. Apparently, he can. A man of many talents. Mike Trout, weatherman, commissioner, baseball player. In that order. We'll come back. It's 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Welcome back to 3 and Out here on this Thursday. Georgia Southern, Statesboro. A lot of folks getting pumped for college baseball there in the borough. Can I say the borough where it's thorough been, or is that disrespectful to Swainsboro?
You got a couple of people that keep it thorough in Statesboro. I'm not going to act like
I tried to keep up with all the.
No. Statesboro. Listen, they wanted 30 miles to the west of Swainsboro. But no, Statesboro. Kevin, get to host a regional. I think the thing about it is that makes it so prestigious is I don't know a lot about a lot now, but I can about guarantee you there ain't a person from Texas Tech or Notre Dame ever been anywhere near no Statesboro, but they're gonna roll out the red carpet.
That's gonna change.
They're gonna roll out the red carpet, but they hope that carpet gets rolled right back up.
That's right.
Get back on the plane and head back to your respective city.
And that all starts tomorrow. Sold out, standing room only left there in Statesboro. Notre Dame, Texas Tech, Georgia Southern playing UNC Greensboro day 1 there in Statesboro. Hour 2 next. Great to be here on this Thursday. Hour 2, Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop. Thanks for making us a part of your day. We'll chat with Rich Stiles, host of the Back Nine Boys golf show, coming up this hour. A lot of defections to the LIV, the Saudi Tour. What does that mean for the PGA Tour? Given a lot of displeasure. And again, a lot of people thought that maybe it was done after Phil kind of backed out and lost all of his sponsors and reputation and things of that nature. And now guys like Dustin Johnson, Sergio Garcia are all playing in it next week. We'll talk to Rich Stiles about that and what that means moving forward. But Ben, before we get into any of that, let's take 3 here on 3 and Out. All right, take 1. SEC meetings in Destin. I don't know if you saw this or not, but a fan, yes, a fan, we talk about tight security, a fan snuck in to the SEC meetings in Destin, found Nick Saban, and offered him 5 G's at the SEC meetings if he would leave Alabama. So the question is, it's probably going to take a little bit more than 5 G's, though. Apparently he was a teenager. 5 G's is a lot of scratch for a teenager. A lot of scratch for Kevin Thomas as well. But who would you try to pay off to get to leave in sports?
Dabo. See, I had to think about it for a little bit.
You want to pay off Dabo?
Yeah, I just pay off Dabo to get on out of here. But because this thing about Dabo, Kevin, I mean, at a certain point, right? Dabo is like, when you start thinking about all the different things he's done, great coach, right? Great coach. Go to NIL, I'm done. I'm out of here. Mr. Bring Your Own Good, still haven't learned how to dance, right? How to just the inconsistency of it. And Kevin, remember how we were talking about first? It makes the ACC even again. It does. It really, really does. Dabo Swinney is out. He can go, listen, pay him. He go to the pros like he said he was going to do with all these different these. But he's so wishy-washy how he is. It's everybody's fault when he doesn't win. To me, these answers are obviously Kirby Smart, but I mean, if it's gonna be Kirby Smart Jr.
Yeah.
If he go, but to me, give me Dabo only because it makes college football, it makes the ACC even again. And he said if they went to NIL, he was gonna leave. He don't want to. Yeah. He don't want to. I'm not gonna be in a league the way you paying players. I say, and I'm like,
well, technically he's still not. I guess.
And then when I asked Dabo, if you had to break down football, who would you follow? Mel Kiper Jr.? Of course you would, because Mel Kiper said he would leave if Mr. Clausen didn't make it. So give me a Dabo Swinney. I will pay him some cheese to get on up out of here.
I mean, that's an interesting one. If we're not limited to coaches,
no.
I feel like when he's going to leave, I would be tempted to say Tom Brady and just say, just please,
get going.
Just go. Like, we get it. You're 87 years old. You're out here throwing 40 touchdown passes, leading the league. Like, I get it, but just go.
Get going.
Just sail off into the sunset with your supermodel wife.
Yeah.
And
I was retired for 40 days, man. I couldn't handle it.
The 2 small fortunes the 2 of you have amassed, and just
the
go
fact
on.
that you do commercials, all you gotta do is go. Let's go. That's it. You're a genius. Good. Great job.
Give me my cheese.
Unplug yourself. Say let's go.
That's it. I mean, this is a fun question because there's, I think, actually a lot of people I would pay. I would pay to leave.
That's the case. I mean, Roger Goodell.
You would pay Raj to leave?
Get going. Get on out of here. Because at the end of the day, I would say Mark Emmert, but he's already gone.
And he's already on the way out.
He was gone when he was active. He was silent. He was Casper, the friendly ghost. I'm just saying. It's just like, Kevin, it's too many guys when you start talking about coaches and this, that, and third. Players and.
But pretty ingenious. He was like, and the kid was apparently an LSU fan, and Nick said he wanted him to here's $5,000 if you'll retire. And the kid was pretty honest, at least. He was like, look, every year I get my hopes up, thinking this is the year, and then we lose to Bama again, and I just want him to go away. And so I appreciate it.
Going to end up getting recruited by Bama. Bama beat up on LSU. That's how they go.
Somebody on the internet find out who that kid was, and see if he ends up going. Could you please leave? How about a scholarship, young man?
Hey man, what position you play?
Well,
I play outside linebacker. How old are you?
But hey, he snuck in Destin and tried to pay off Nick Saban to get on up out of there.
Hey man.
I wonder if that got wind around the meetings earlier. If like Jimbo and Kirby and some others, like I'll throw in a few bucks If it means he's out,
if he's out,
like he's legit gone.
Billy,
I got 10 grand in the
Coach
couch
Kelly,
cushions.
I just got here.
Yeah.
Throw a couple of dollars in there.
Lane, you want to throw in some money?
Lane, I really like this. I'm calling my account right now.
Yeah, we're
Coach Lee, huh?
You guys take PayPal?
I know you Tennessee. Hey, Vanderbilt, we ain't gonna take.
I would imagine that would be the largest fundraiser ever if you went around anonymously to SEC coaches and said, seriously, how much money would you pay if it meant Nick Saban would retire tomorrow?
$500,000.
I mean, no, I'm serious. Like, and if you pulled it all together, would it be more money than Nick currently makes at Alabama?
Probably not. Well, with Kirby just with Kirby just getting.
No, I'm saying, like, if you went to every coach and said, "Hey, we're going to start a pool. How much are you willing to give?" And Nick Saban says, "I'm done. I'm walking away." I mean, $5,000 ain't going to do it. Nice try by that young man, but like, if you could raise 12, 13 mil, $1 million each coach.
Come on,
I don't know. Some of those coaches might not be willing to cough up $1 million, but
with Billy Napier, like, look, man,
I just got
here. Some of y'all boys been here now. I just got this 7.1. I got give a brother. Listen,
I gotta
let
get
me
paid
get my
first.
second contract. Then we can do that. We can talk.
But yeah, I think that'd be very interesting. Yeah. Anonymously, how much money would you pay Nick Saban to go away?
Whoa, I think we look at it the wrong way. I mean, hey, boosters.
Because I imagine I would be interested anonymously. I'm not going to say who your name is, but how much money would you personally offer up if it meant Nick Saban retired? Oh, I bet all of them would be, I'm giving money. If it meant he was gone, get him out of there.
Because they're going to shame the one ain't trying to do it. We try and do it, but somebody want to just blast. No,
Vanderbilt said,
my wife
Clark Lee said, I don't care.
Yeah, man, you got endorsements. You can make that money back in endorsements.
Clark Lee said, Nick Saban, Joe Saban, Lou Saban, it don't matter. We're still losing. I'm not forking up any money. Just go ahead and give it to me. All right, moving along. Take two, Ben. The Atlanta Falcons are bringing back the red helmets this year in October. They're going to have a game. They're going to break them out. Is the red helmet the best Falcons helmet?
It's up there. I think the best Falcons helmet is just the all black with the falcon on the side of the little white falcon on the side. I just, but the red is nice though.
That's the best one.
The red is nice, Kevin, because I think the thing is, right? This is when times have gotten bad with the Falcons, man. Now they're trying to do the flare thing. Hey, man, let's wear the red helmet. Is that gonna make us play better? Probably not. But we're gonna look good.
But we like it.
Oh yeah, the red helmets with the white jerseys, right? You know what I'm saying? I mean, look nice, but they nice though, because it kind of scared me, right? I saw the AJ Terrell thing. I think 2 days ago. We walk in, he go, he lift up the thing. Think about this for a second.
He was in the promo video putting on the helmet.
This thing, right? Atlanta had to do a promo video. They go, who the hell can we get? Can we get Marcus Mariota? No, he hasn't played yet. Can we get Kyle Pitts? No, he's going in the second year. Can we get Grady Jarrett? No,
Pitts.
People don't know who Grady Jarrett is now. Who can we get? AJ Terrell. Who? The cornerback.
You don't want to get Jake Matthews out there slapping on the
No, Jake Matthews is going to be too busy saying, Jake, don't say this we ain't rebuilding. Jake, shh, don't talk. No, shout out to AJ Terrell, man. I mean, the red, listen, the red with the black falcon is smooth. Though.
They are the best. They are the best one. That's the one I grew up on. And I promise you, I saw somebody say I didn't know, because I didn't know this either. And they have, apparently the helmets have a gold stripe on them. And somebody said it was there because incorporating in the Falcons helmet, they are honoring the two major universities in Georgia and Georgia Tech. I'm like, well, the whole thing's red. And I don't remember going back in the 80s and 90s there being some kind of tradition with a gold stripe. I could be wrong. Falcons fans, you can tweet us here on the show at Pigskin Radio. Drop us a line. I do not remember there being a gold stripe on the helmet. Apparently there's one across the top, and that's to hook up Georgia Tech in some way. But I do like the red helmets. I wish they would just wear them all the time.
The red is nice. I mean, listen, for those of you who don't know, okay, I'm my goal in life.
I get why you wouldn't like, because you'd be like, oh, it looks like Georgia Bulldogs. But no, I think the red Falcons helmet is the best.
No, the red is nice. I mean, listen, all I'm saying is, right, the Falcons obviously ain't going to come out with no new jerseys. They already did that with the little numbers. We about to bring out the reds. I hope, listen, and Kevin, just like I know, when they bring out them reds, if they get smoked, dog, boop, 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 them reds going to go back into the vault with the smoke, and we won't see them again. But hey, man, I like the fact that I got some nice little throwbacks. So I like the throwback red helmet with the black Falcon.
Yeah, Falcons red helmet is the way to go. All right, moving along to take three, Ben. today, we like to do the holidays here. Today is National Rocky Road Day. For no points, what is Rocky Road?
All I know is,
because I asked somebody beforehand, everybody's like, "Oh, Rocky Road is delicious." Okay, what is it? And they're like, "It's ice cream." I was like, "I realize ice cream. What is it?"
I think it's Kevin. You know what? Rocky Road might be your triple chocolate fudge.
I mean, it exists.
Like, I mean, because the thing is, I can say this. Rocky Road is the one ice cream that I haven't eaten the most of. I've eaten it, obviously, but I haven't eaten the most. Like, when you ask somebody what their favorite ice cream is, you hardly never hear Rocky Road. You hear chocolate. You know, you hear vanilla, you hear Neapolitan, you hear cookies and cream, you hear chocolate chip cookie dough. You hear mine personally these days, the cheesecake ice cream. If you haven't had it, please do yourself a favor. Oh my God. But you know, Rocky Road, Kevin, I think it's just what we heard a lot growing up. I really don't know. I know it's a lot of chocolate. I know it's a whole bunch of chocolate. I couldn't give you how many different chocolates it is, but I know it's a lot of chocolate. Hit us up at Pigskin Radio. Let us know what is Rocky Road. Break it. Don't just say it's ice cream and it's chocolate. No, I know that. What else is it? What makes the road so rocky? I want to know. Because, Kevin, that's a good question. I don't know what it is. Am I willing to go out there and find out today? Hell yeah. I'm willing to go get some Rocky Road ice cream. But as I've gotten older, I don't hear it as much. My kids definitely don't know what it is.
Yeah, Rocky Road. I looked it up because I was like, all this time you just hear Rocky Road. I'm like, I'm not doing it. And I think I know why I wouldn't like it. But it's chocolate ice cream with nuts in it and marshmallows. I'm not. I don't want marshmallows in my ice cream.
Yeah,
that's one I can't do.
And listen, in the words of Martin Lawrence on Bad Boys, you just lost me. Now I will say this: marshmallows belong in certain places. You ready? They belong on Rice Krispies. They belong on graham crackers and chocolate, aka s'mores. And for some of us, maybe like on a sweet potato casserole, maybe on the top.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, I don't know anywhere else, or put it on top of some hot cocoa or something. Marshmallows in my ice cream, let me tell you something. If I walked in your house and I saw you putting marshmallows in my ice cream, I'm like, what the hell is you doing? So Kevin, all the other reason why I know, that's why I'm a big Rocky Road
apparently fan. It was first made back in the 1920s. So it's like 100 and some odd 100 years old, I guess. But I've just looked. I was like, no. Yeah. Speaking of ice cream, I have to say this because Christian is texting me this at the moment, and this you want to talk about nasty? I don't know if I could do this. Christian said he would be all about this. Apparently, the University of Miami, they're hosting a regional. The University of Miami is serving vanilla milkshakes at the game. Okay, it's hot in Miami. That's fine. Here's what's in the vanilla milkshake bin: buffalo wings, ranch, and hot sauce. Here's a picture. I can't show it up on the folks watching online, but that's what. And Christian said, switch the ranch to blue cheese. And I was like, you want that in the ice cream?
That's nasty.
That's gross. Yeah, I'm with you. They got celery sticks and carrots. I want a shake because of one thing. It's ice cream. But apparently you can go to Miami. That just it has two. At first you can't see it. It has two drumettes in the milkshake.
Let me just say this again.
Since
Miami want to take it there. Out of all the milkshakes, vanilla, like ain't nothing wrong.
Well, if you're gonna shove chicken wings in it, I guess.
I mean, all this trying to look. That's what I'm saying. Some people just go over the top. Listen, milkshakes don't need no help, and that's not help.
You just add more candy to make a milkshake.
Yeah, vanilla milkshakes. No, chocolate.
But seriously, who sits around and thinks of this stuff? Like, hey, let's make a milkshake, and apparently there's a company that does it. But I mean, like, who's sitting around? Like, I've never been sitting around and saying, you know what would be good with this ice cream? If I had some buffalo chicken wings right now. Not one time. Yeah, not one time have I said I want them together at the same time.
Think about when you don't know that's how they bring it out. Let me get the milkshake and the wings. And then it comes out the wings.
I don't know what they call it, but apparently
it should be on the nasty menu. I mean, I don't get that. Milkshakes don't need no help. Milkshake, you need a straw and get out the way. That's it. What is that? Miami?
Do better. Do better.
Rocky Road with the marshmallows, Miami with the blue cheese.
No, it has ranch. Christian said he would swap out ranch and put blue. I was like, you would put blue cheese in your milkshake.
Blue cheese is nasty.
I can't do it. With that being said, I will we'll step aside. We'll that's gross. 3 and out. We're coming right back all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back here on 3 and Out. We'll chat with Rich Stiles, host of the Back Nine Boys Golf Show, coming up in just a little bit. A lot going on around the PGA Tour, or should I say the Saudi Tour, as some big names have jumped in to play in London next week, including Dustin Johnson, Sergio Garcia, and could face some backlash from the PGA Tour. Remember, Phil said he was going to do it and lost all of his sponsors, couldn't play on the PGA Tour, had a little bit of a suspension. What are we going to do with these guys? So we'll talk to Rich Stiles about that coming up. But Ben, we talked about it in take 3. Falcons going throwback, red helmet. Who in the NFL has the best throwbacks, and who do you think should just go with it? Because there's a lot of people that say, hey, if the Falcons bring back the red helmets with the black jerseys,
yes,
just leave them. Don't go back. Just leave them. Who in the NFL do you think has the best throwbacks?
Obviously, I never got a chance to play in the old Oilers uniforms with the Titans, because the Titans used to be the Houston Oilers. Never got to play in that powder blue with the white helmet. I thought those were really, really smooth. Kevin, and I hate giving this team any credit, but the throwback Dallas Cowboy uniforms, they smooth, like, because they got the white.
Are there throwback Dallas Cowboys? Like they've had the same uniform.
They got throwbacks. They do have throwbacks. They do have throwbacks. But I think the best throwback, when I think throwbacks, I think the now LA, I think the old San Diego Charger powder blue, I think those are the best throwback, because obviously they bright, I mean, and the team is good. Like it betters when you got throwbacks and the team is good, because might as well throw them away if you ain't even a good team. But I mean, like I said, the old Oilers, Houston Oilers, the old Dallas Cowboy throwbacks are nice, where they kind of got the white sleeves like the blue, like underneath. And I just think that, but for me, it's the powder blue Chargers. I just think that they are some of the best. They are the best throwbacks out there, because, like I said, man, anytime you look at a team that you playing against or rooting against, you're like, dude, man, I really, really like those unis, man. So give me the then San Diego Charger powder blues, Smurf blues, if you will.
Those are nice. I think the Patriots, those old, the Patriot uniforms where they actually wore red, because they wear blue and white and kind of silver now. They don't even wear red anymore, right? The red Patriots jerseys with the stripes on the shoulder and the Patriot on the helmet. Those are, I think Tom Brady's been around so long, I think he might have actually worn one of those. Did he wear one of those, or had they switched to that new age deal they have going on now? I'm trying to think. Did he? Because Drew Bledsoe. And then Tom Brady was after him.
No, Tom Brady. I think Tom Brady did wear it before.
When he first came in, were they still wearing the Patriots?
Yes.
I like those. I'm not a fan of the Patriots, but those were nice. They give you that nostalgia feel. I mean, of course, you get like the Green Bay Packers. They wear the same thing over and over. I will say this: and people don't like them. They're just different. I'm glad they don't wear them all the time. But those Steelers uniforms with like the stripes, they look like bumblebees.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. They just they look weird. My second favorite one, if I didn't say the Patriots, my second favorite one would be the Denver Broncos with the lighter blue, and that powder blue helmet with the D and the Bronco jumping out of the D. Those are the John Elways. Like when you first start watching John Elway, that's what I think of. It's the old school Denver. They didn't wear navy blue. It was, you had the powder blues with some orange on it. That's the ones I like.
Hey,
I think they should wear those all the time. But that's me.
This. Now, they're not a good team. But
you don't have to be good to win the uniform game, right?
Detroit got some. I mean, because Detroit had this. It's like a plain looking, just all blue, and they had like the gray numbers. Like I kind of like it when they used to wear those as well. But I mean, I can't stand the fact that I'm giving the Dallas Cowboys any type of love. I'm
trying hard to think. You're gonna have to look it up and show me.
Hold on.
What you're talking about, because the Dallas Cowboys, to me, have worn like the same uniform combo for forever. Star helmet, one star on the helmet, blue, white, little silver accents. Dallas Cowboys.
Let me see.
Like, remember that? What's that movie with?
That's them.
Oh, with the white helmet. Is that a throwback or just an alternate?
That's a throwback. That's throwback.
Those aren't bad. Yeah, those aren't bad.
Now, but and these are the. Hold on, it should be on here.
Ben,
Oh,
Ben's- oh yeah, no, the Houston Oilers ones are nice. I agree with you there.
I gotta say,
I think Tennessee.
Ooh, that's gonna be nice.
Oh yeah, the Falcons. I think Tennessee has taken a regression.
Yeah,
in the uniform game, they're not good.
Like everybody in the uniform department, they just done gave up. They just done.
Well, there's certain teams that are trying to get it right. Tennessee's one of those. They're trying hard and they keep somehow making it worse. That's all I'm gonna say. Your Tennessee Titans, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, see, boom, see, they go to Detroit one. See,
just plain Jane.
Is that Calvin Johnson? Right?
Nothing says winning like. I'm sorry. Sorry if there's Detroit fans out there.
There's a Herman Moore, Barry Sanders.
I mean, they've had so many good players.
Calvin Johnson. May God bless.
That's got to be like one of the most unexplainable things. Like they've had good players, awful. Like they can't win. You go to Detroit, it's about collecting a check. It can't be much more than that. We got more to come here on 3 and Out. We'll come back. Rich Styles will join us, host of the Back Nine Boys Golf Show. A lot of shakeup going on out there on the PGA Tour, including some big names playing on the Saudi Tour. Does that mean they can't come back to the PGA Tour? What's the repercussions there? He'll join us next. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you along here on this Thursday. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop, thanks for making us a part of your day. A lot going on the PGA Tour, should I say the LIV, the Saudi Tour out there as well. We've been talking about this for a couple of weeks with our next guest, host of the Back Nine Boys Golf Show, who joins us here. Rich Stiles joins us. Rich, welcome. How are you, sir?
I'm doing wonderful. How about you guys?
Rich, we are doing fantastic, and I just got to say, the irony, right, of Phil getting involved with the Saudi Tour, getting a lot of backlash. He pulls his name out, loses all of his sponsors, and everybody thinks, well, this thing is not going to get off the ground. Look at how they just, took Phil out of the limelight. He's not playing on the PGA Tour. His sponsors are gone. And now Dustin Johnson, Sergio, Kevin Na, Lee Westwood, who's a former number one. I mean, not all these guys are right now, time and place, top 25 golfers, but Dustin Johnson certainly is. I mean, how big of a blow is that to the PGA Tour that something you might have thought was sitting out there as a non-issue all of a sudden is a big issue once you look at some of the names that are playing in this thing?
Well, I mean, it is an issue, and it's going to be interesting to see how the PGA Tour firms their stand that you've got to make a choice. You've got to either play on our tour or their tour. You can't do both. But it's also very hard from Dustin's point of view to turn down $125 million a contract. I mean, his agent even said he's been contemplating the opportunity off and on. And ultimately, he decided that with his and his family's best interest, decided to pursue it. Dustin has now lost RBC as one of his main sponsors, and their tournament is coming up soon up in Canada. Graham McDowell also has lost RBC sponsorship because of the same thing. I think you're going to see some dissension, but, let's face it. How are you going to make from the PGA Tour $125 million contract? It may take you 10, 12, 15, 20 years, and he can do it right off the bat. It's going to be hard to turn down. The Saudis are throwing money, and some of these guys are saying, okay, I'm there. I'll be there.
And Rich, to follow up on that, big names, Sergio, Dustin Johnson, obviously the PGA Tour wants him there, but you mentioned $125 million. That's not like what the PGA Tour does, where, hey, you can come play, and if you win, you could win $1 million here. You could win whatever here. That's $125 million if you finish dead last for him to come. And I think somebody said, correct me if I'm wrong, but they said $125 million. That's more than Tiger Woods has made on tour in his career that you're guaranteeing Dustin Johnson. So sponsors be darned, I guess, in that situation where you're offering up that kind of money to some big names.
Yeah, I mean, let's say RBC was paying him $3 million a year, whatever it is. I have no idea what the amount is, but it's sure not $125 million. Hudson Swapper from Sea Island is also committed to going on the tour, and I overheard that he was being paid $10 million. And Hud's a great golfer. He's won some on the PGA Tour, but again, this is setting himself up and his family for life. So that's really hard to turn down, because on the PGA Tour, you have the opportunity to earn it depending upon how you play and if you win. And all of a sudden here, you're going to get a lot of money, and everybody's going to get paid a lot of money because there's only going to be 48 spots. 42 of those spots have already been filled. 5 of those last remaining 6 are going to be filled by the Asian Tour, depending upon how they finish. And then that one last spot, they're holding it out. It could go to Phil. We just don't know yet. He's still got some time by the end of the week to make a full commitment.
And Rich, I mean, as you mentioned, $125 million to a guy like Dustin. I mean, the guy like Dustin Johnson, even the other guys, like Sergio, Garcia, Ian, Pools. I mean, you talk about Kevin Na. What was the biggest disconnect when you talk about the PGA Tour? Obviously, they said, look, man, obviously you guys have some level of loyalty to us, but they got to know that they can't compete with that much money, right?
Oh, they do. But again, the tour has made it, very, very clear that members who violate the tournament regulations are subject to disciplinary action. What that disciplinary action, I think, is the big question mark. What does that mean? These guys have committed to play. You got a couple of Masters winners in Charles Schwartzel and Sergio Garcia, Dustin Johnson, U.S. Open, Graham McDowell, and these guys have been offered huge contracts. Again, it's hard to turn down. The PGA Tour is not going to go, look, guys, we'll give you $126 million to stay. They're not doing that. So they've got to earn it on the PGA, where the LIV is giving him contracts with a lot of money.
And Rich, obviously you talk about the repercussions of that, and you could say, I've heard everything from, would it be a year ban, a 2-year ban from the PGA Tour to do that? But obviously the PGA Tour is not in charge of the Masters. They're not in charge of the U.S. Open. They're not in charge of the U.S. Open or the British Open. If I'm getting 125 million, is it inconceivable that Dustin Johnson could do that and still play in the Masters, British Open? I mean, what is the recourse here? Because you're basically talking about sponsors and money you could earn, as you said, versus money that's already going to be given to them.
Well, let's be honest. 125 million. Who cares about sponsors? I mean, they could go play for whatever club manufacturer they want to. The loyalty is their deposit slips at this point. They don't have to go play. I saw something the other day that said that, Tiger Woods was offered $200 million, not even to play, just to show up and wave at people. That's not true, but, that's a joke that's going around. But, it's very hard for the PGA Tour. And so you sit out a year, you sit out 2 years, you come back, you start doing it all over again. Still gets to go and play the Masters. At this point, he loses a couple of sponsors. That's okay, because he's got 125 million in the bank.
And how swiftly, Rich, do you think the PGA is going to have to come out and have these disciplines coming out on these guys? Because everybody's watching. You got the guys who show loyalty. Because I'm pretty sure just because we see these names, there was more names that was probably offered and said, okay, I don't want to deal with the repercussions of what the PGA Tour could do to me. But as you mentioned, the PGA said, look, it's going to be some. You're gonna get disciplined. How soon do you think they got to make a decision? And a guy like Dustin Johnson, being such a big name, as you mentioned, can still play in the Masters. How many years or how many tournaments do you think the PGA kind of said, look, we're going to ban you from this many, even though they only control one of them?
I think they've got to make a quick response. I mean, the longer they let it go, the more players, without knowing what the response of the tour is going to be, may go to the LIV for the next tournament. Maybe they're not going to be in London, but there's, more tournaments that they've got on their schedule for this year, and more being planned over the next 2 and 3 and 4 years, with the money going up every year. I think the tour has got to take a stand. They've already drawn the line and said, you can't play on both. You got to make a decision. And the quicker they make the response, I think the better off they're going to be. Otherwise, I think we're going to see more guys who will not have the opportunity over the next 5 to 10 years to make this kind of money, who are going to have the opportunity to get these contracts or these guaranteed money from the LIV Tour. And it's just going to create a momentum towards the LIV rather than the PGA Tour.
Rich Stiles, host of the Back Nine Boys Golf Show, joining us. Rich, to me, this story is so fascinating because, as you said, we talked about it with Phil, and Phil caught a lot of backlash because of the Saudis and what they do, obviously, in the world that people find, heinous and things of that nature. And yep. Phil backed off of that and moved on, lost all of his sponsors, couldn't play. And then Jack Nicklaus comes out and says, hey, they offered me $100 million to be kind of like the commissioner of this thing, not doing it. You had a whole bunch of guys come out and pledge loyalty to the PGA Tour. And then, boom, Dustin Johnson, first time out, is in this thing, a former, major winner, #1 player in the world, Sergio. You have big name guys months ago were right there saying, yeah, Phil shouldn't have done that. And now it seems kind of like the dam has burst here. It's like, well, these guys are doing it. I mean, do you think there will be public outrage? Not that the guys are making the money, but maybe they sold their soul for the money for some guys running a tour that maybe do things that a lot of people find morally reprehensible.
Well, I think, that definitely that is going to be a factor. And I think you have to look at the morality. You have to look at the fact of why they're making the decisions. They're all coming back saying, with his family, it's the best interest of me at this time to, take a look at this, to consider going on the LIV tour, to take their money. But in the long run, you got to look at the end result. I mean, what is this going to do to your legacy? How is it going to help my family? Obviously, money always helps in a situation like this. It just depends on how strong your feeling is over what is going on over in Saudi Arabia, and how do you feel about what's happened, and does money cover that up, and is there enough money to cover that up? For some guys, they have made that stand that there's not enough money for me to even consider it. Rory McIlroy, who is part of the PGA Tour committee, said, I'm not that impressed by the field. Well, he may not be, but there's others that may be. So I think the end result is, how do they really feel about what's going on with the LIV and the Saudis? And does that really take into effect on the bottom line for your true faith and your, credibility? Do you just overlook that and say, I'm just going to go, I'm going to take the money and go play?
Well, Rich, I mean, 2 months ago, Dustin Johnson said, oh, yeah, PGA, baby, all the way.
Yep.
And here he is.
But that was before $125 million.
But that's my point. I mean, if I'm the PGA Tour, I mean, what's to say if this thing goes off and there's not a huge public backlash, regardless of what the PGA Tour says, right? If there's not a huge public backlash, why don't they just go to Jordan Spieth and say, here's $90 million. You don't even have to work for it. Here's 90. I mean, to me, that would seem like that's where the PGA Tour has a big problem on their hands, simply because it's guaranteed money, where obviously the PGA Tour is not. You have to go work for it.
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. I mean, the Saudis are throwing money with Greg Norman at the helm, throwing money to players all over the world, and it's going to, deposit into their banks, and they don't have to play, but they're going to, and they'll even make more money. So the PGA Tour, I think, is in a position in this boxing match that they have been in, where it looks like it's been outside the ring, is starting to now go on into round one. We could already be in, round two at this point, inside the ring, and the PGA Tour has got to take a stand. They've said they're going to take a stand and draw a line in the sand. Now we're going to have to see, now that they've announced some of the players that are playing, several of which have been on the PGA Tour for a long time, what the PGA Tour is going to do, how soon. I think it's got to be very soon, definitely not much later.
Yeah, Rich, and again, where do you think the disconnect I mean, it's easy to say it's just money, but we also saw Sergio Garcia say, hey, I can't wait to get away from this thing and all that. Just today, the PGA Tour saw it right before you came on, where Hideki Matsuyama gets disqualified from a tournament for a non-conforming club, which from what I understand had some kind of marking on the club face. I mean, is this the kind of stuff that people are going, what are we doing? And then you're having a league literally come in and say, you don't need to even put up with all that. We'll just pay you to come out and play. I mean, where's the disconnect, you think, from guys on the PGA Tour that they would want to get out of there?
Well, the disconnect, yes, it does come down to money, but the disconnect is, hey, we just want you to come and play, and we're going to pay you this to come and play, and then you're going to earn even more. Where the PGA Tour is saying, we are who we are, and they are a separate entity. I mean, they're a monopoly. Monopoly may not be the word, but they are the PGA Tour, and it's run this way. It's been run this way. There's a lot of money out there on the PGA Tour, but you've got to earn it. Here with the Saudis, you don't even have to earn it. They're just throwing money out there, and unfortunately, some players, 42 so far, are making decisions to go play for the money, despite all the side effects from the Saudis and this LIV tour that is coming out. I mean, it's a really tough situation from the families, from the golfers' standpoint, from their agent standpoint. Because remember, the agents get a percentage too of these contracts, so it's huge for them as well. So everybody's kind of looking at it. Yes, it's good for your family. Heck, I could retire, 5 years from now with more money that I could have earned on the tour in 15 or 20.
It's going to be a fascinating story to follow. Rich Stiles, host of the Back Nine Boys Golf Show, our guest. Rich, appreciate it.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Rich Stiles, you can hear him Saturday and Sunday mornings at 8 a.m. And Ben, I know as someone who's not, you're not in and out of it every week on the golf tour, but you see that where, hey, I'm the PGA Tour. Our kind of niche is, hey, you show up on Thursday and Friday, you earn it to the weekend, you make the weekend, you're going to get paid something. The higher you finish, the more money you make, but it's on your game. Now you're being outbid by guys who are saying, hey, Dustin Johnson, you're one of the best in the world. Here's $125 million. What about if I finish last? Don't care. Be there and play. To me, if there's not a big public backlash like there will over these guys doing it, I think more guys will jump over and do it. Because, I mean, would you take the guaranteed payday over I got to perform to get it? I think most people would lean towards the guaranteed payday.
Yeah, Kevin, and look, and can you blame them? I will say this. People are going to get into the moral aspect of things, this, that, and the third, but you've never also been offered $125 million, like you said. I mean, that definitely puts things in perspective. $10 million is a lot. $125 million, that's a lifetime. I mean, I can't blame these guys.
And I think somebody said that is more than Tiger earned on the tour. Actually, obviously Tiger earned a lot of weight, but that's more than Tiger earned on the tour. They're giving it to him just to show up. That's 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you along here on 3 and Out. Good chatting with Rich Stiles, host of the Back Nine Boys Golf Show. And again, Ben, you and I were talking. We got about 30 seconds. This is to me the PGA Tour is going to be an interesting watch because nobody's talking about it now. There was huge outrage when Phil was going to do this, and now you have, huge outrage, and now you have guys who have just jumped right on over and taking the money.
I'm not going to try to jump all over Dustin Johnson and what he believes and things of that nature. He could be against one thing and take the money. And for those of you people who are saying that wouldn't be me, get off with 125 million, then we can have that conversation.
Yeah. Let him lay 125 mil in front of you and say
125K. Some of y'all
We'll come back. Final hour, 3 and Out. Final hour of 3 and Out on this Thursday. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop, Braves and Rockies coming up later tonight. We'll talk about that coming up in just a little bit. The SEC meetings in Destin. What do we know about potential scheduling out there? What will we know about, NIL policy? A lot of talk about trying to come up with a policy just for the SEC. Don't know if we're going to have anything concrete, but we'll talk about that coming up in just a little bit. But Ben, I had to bring this up because as a player, you might have a different perspective than me. Maybe you don't. I don't know. But I saw a lot of things happen every day in the world of sports, and, people come and go. And today, Alex Mack retired, former Atlanta Falcons center, a member of that Super Bowl team with Matt Ryan that went to the Super Bowl. I won't rehash how that game went, Falcons fans. You have suffered enough. Alex Mack retires. Saw some posts out there saying, man, people need to appreciate Alex Mack, an all-time Falcons great. All time. Right up there with guys like Jeff Van Note and others who have played along that Falcons offensive line. Went to the Super Bowl, played the Super Bowl with a fractured leg. All right, that right there is stuff of legendary tales. But Ben, are you an all-time great? If you're Alex Mack, you played 13 years in the league. 5 of those, just 5, were with the Atlanta Falcons. Now, they were very good years. You, at various points during your Falcons tenure, were the best center in the league. Do you consider Alex Mack an all-time Falcon?
No. And I love Alex Mack. He was he an integral part of the team? Yes. Was he a key piece? Yes. But Kevin, when we think of Atlanta Falcons greats, I don't think I'm gonna ever get to Alex Mack. That doesn't mean he wasn't a key contributor. Now, when you start saying Atlanta Falcons greats, we talking about guys that brought something different to the franchise, like Jesse Tucker, right? A lifer, Matty Ice, right? Look, Michael Vick. Yeah,
I was gonna say, is Michael Vick an all-time Falcons?
He is, because Kevin, this is what Michael Vick did, right?
I know he was a different type of player. Did he play long enough to be an all-time great?
Yes, because I'm gonna tell you why. Didn't go to a Super Bowl, right? Did go to an NFC Championship game.
He played with the Falcons for 8 years.
Yes, Kevin, because this is the thing, right? There are certain players, like, they make you watch the Falcons. When Michael Vick wasn't with the Falcons, you're just watching them just because. He was an exciting player. He was an incredible player. He was the number 1 overall pick. And sometimes when you're the number 1 overall pick, it's hard to live up to the billing. But I would say yes. Now, is Michael Vick a better player than Matty Ice? No. Matty Ice, Falcons great. Roddy White, Falcons great. Julio Jones, Falcons great. Right? Alex Mack, I think what happens is, right, we start looking at the team they was on, and obviously he was a really, really good player.
Yes.
Really, really good. I think like a 7-time pro. Really, really good player. And this is no offense to Alex Mack. If Alex Mack wasn't on that Falcons team, do they still go to Super Bowl? They probably do. When you look at the season that offense was having, Alex Mack was an incredible player. It's like this. Roddy White went into the Atlanta Falcons Hall of Fame. I think it was Mike Jenkins and Matty Ice welcome him in. If Alex Mack got welcomed in, people gonna be like, what? Not saying, listen, and I want to say this, not to say Alex Mack wasn't an incredible player. He was. But you spent the bulk of your years not on the Falcons. I expect you spent 5 years on the Falcons. You had a 13-year career. So most of your time was with the Cleveland Browns. So for me, I appreciate Alex Mack. I appreciate what he meant to the Falcons when he was there. Was an incredible player when he was there. But to me, Alex Mack was not a better player at his time with the Falcons than Michael Burnett Turner was. When Michael Burnett Turner came to the Falcons, he was a key contributor. He was an incredible player. Now they go to Super Bowl.
So he played long enough to be a Falcons legend. Falcons great. No, Michael Turner's.
Whoa. Now Michael Turner. I think now.
I'm just trying to find a line of demarcation here. That's all.
I would say yes for Michael Turner, Kevin, because the thing is this, right? When you start threatening, is Michael Turner the all-time leading rusher in Falcons history? Is either him?
He's up there. Is he one or two?
Or Jamal Anderson or somebody like that. I would say yes because Michael Turner had all pro seasons. So not only was he he was considered the best player at his position when he was with the Falcons. He was, because Kevin, I would say this, take that 1 year away from Devonta Freeman. What has the Falcons running game been since?
No, I get you. I understand that.
Listen, Michael Turner, yes. Julio Jones, yes. Roddy White, yes. Whoa. I will say this. Tony Gonzalez, yes. When Tony Gonzalez was with the I'm going to tell Kevin.
No. I mean, Tony Gonzalez may be the best tight end or second best. Okay, but all-time, like when I think Tony Gonzalez, and I love Tony Gonzalez, I don't think Falcons, man. I think Kansas City Chiefs. So it's like, I don't know if I put him in as a Falcons legend. You're putting Tony Gonzalez as a Falcons legend.
I'm going to go. I have to go.
I see Ben reaching back for the baby powder, and I'm about to duck. But I mean, look.
No.
Because I'm just saying, I think he was good, but he was at the end of his career. I don't know if I would consider him a all-timer Atlanta Falcon. Maybe that says more about the Atlanta Falcons that he would be an all-timer having played so long for another team.
I mean, he did.
All right,
I'm going to go to the numbers when he was with the Falcons.
All right, while you look it up.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So when he was with the Falcons for 5 years, he had, I'm just looking at the catches here. Oh, yeah, I might be 83, 70, 80.
Again,
83 and 80. Oh, you know what? Hold on.
Don't hate the messenger. I'm just saying.
I will say this. You're right. Let me.
He's a great player. Is he all-time Falcon?
No,
I don't know.
No, I'm sorry. He's not. I'm sorry. He was a great player, but that was the totality of it. You're right. Tony G.
Is Shannon Sharp a Ravens Hall of Famer? No, I was like,
so
he's an all-time Bronco. That's all I'm saying.
I'm gonna say this. You are more of an all-timer when you with the team you played with the longest because you got a chance to make the greatest impact. So I will say this. I jumped the gun with Tony G. That's my.
All right, let me give you another one then. Because, boy, I might have to really duck. Deion Sanders. Played for the Falcons for 4 years.
Yeah.
Played for the Cowboys for 4 years.
Yeah.
And nobody else longer than that.
Yeah.
Would you consider, I know he's the best to ever do it, according to B.J. Bennett. Would you consider Deion Sanders an all-time Atlanta Falcon?
Yes.
After only just playing 4 seasons. Okay, I mean, that's fine. I'm just
But like, hold on. But this thing about Deion, he is the exception to the rule because once again, there are certain like I said, Michael Vick is not a better player than Matty Ice. They're both Falcons legends. I think that when you talk about a guy like Deion, it's what he meant to the freaking organization.
Sure.
And I know he went on to become. I realize what he went on to become. But it's the thing, Kevin. Yes, I think he is an all-time great. I think free agency killed. The fact that they just couldn't afford to pay him. But
sure, I'm just like I said.
He's the one. Now Deion is the one that played the shortest amount of time with the Falcons, but he is. Now Tony G, all right, boom. I do think Michael Turner. I think he is. I just think that you're right. With a guy like Alex Mack, he's in that Tony Gonzalez category. But I think that because prime time.
I know, but I'm saying all I'm trying to do is find out kind of that line because, as you know, we in today's society we like opening petting zoos around all these teams with how many goats and beasts that were out there, right? So if you're going to say I'm an all-time legendary Falcon and you played for 4 years, you were on one of the few Falcons teams, Alex Mack, I don't consider you a legend.
Yeah,
you are a very good player who happened to play in Atlanta for a minute. That's it. And that's not disparaging. I'm just saying if you're going to talk about all-time legendary player, Matt Ryan, yes.
Yes.
There's no question. Had the longevity, had the stats, had all that. I think Deion Sanders is close.
Yeah.
If you're talking about Falcons, I mean, 4 years.
Yeah.
I mean, he played longer with other teams.
Deion's is more of a prestige and aura. That is Deion Sanders.
I get it.
No. But could you make the argument that he is not? And the answer is yes. Like it could be a yes and a no for Deion because you wouldn't be wrong. But I just think Deion meant so much to that city.
And I get it because I think I would give you leeway with Michael Vick. I would just bring it up and say, hey, Michael Vick, he made the Atlanta Falcons what they were because of who he was, how he played, and what he brought to the table on the football field. Now, Falcons never had back-to-back winning seasons with Michael Vick.
No.
But is he a all-time Falcons great? I think you could put him in that category because of the transformational player that he was around the league.
Yes.
Tony G, I'm sorry. I love Tony Gonzalez. I can't do it.
You're right.
I do not think Falcons legend when I think Tony Gonzalez.
This is what I would say. Deion Sanders, because like you said, the talent that he was. Michael Vick, because of the talent that he was and what he did for the franchise. I can say Michael Turner because of the production that he gave you, because 4 years behind LaDainian Tomlinson, signed a big deal to come to Atlanta. People like, what? And you see his production, right? Alex Mack, no. Because I think what happens is, Kevin, guys are gonna have good seasons. They're gonna probably have, some good production, but not what Michael Vick was the face of the franchise, and he only stopped playing because of what he was doing.
Yeah.
Right. And Matty Ice gave you a Super Bowl, gave you a regular season MVP. Julio's Julio, Roddy is Roddy. Even though Roddy and Julio both play with Tony Gonzalez, I don't think Tony Gonzalez. But I think
Roddy White played with the Falcons long enough where he had the longevity.
He was a lifer.
So I think, to me, if you want to go awesome with a legend, I'm just simply trying to say, Ben, everybody can't be a legend.
Facts.
Right? We can't walk around. I played 2 years. No. I played 2 years for the Falcons. I'm a legend.
You're definitely right. Because the thing about it is this. I will say this. Hall of Fame and legendary status, when it comes to teams, I put them in the same category. Like, I can say, can you talk about the Falcons without talking about it? No.
Yeah, I think
that's fair.
Can you
talk about Alex Mack? Yes. Can you talk about Tony Gonzalez? Yes, because now, you know who is a Falcons legend at tight end? That would be Algie Crumpler. Now, I
have no problem with that.
So that, and you're right. That's why we talk it out.
I'm not diminishing Tony Gonzalez as a player.
So it's like this. If you cannot talk about a team without talking about a player, they probably had some level of Tony G. No, right? And I think what happens is we do get caught up in the moment. Devin has to play for the Falcons, and
that's all I'm saying. I just saw people tweet, he's like, "Hey, Alex Mack retired, legendary Falcon." I'm like,
no.
Was he legendary? Was he just a good? I mean, he was a great player. But
here's the thought: if I say Alex Mack and the Falcons, people are gonna say, "Who was that?" Exactly.
No, I mean, I get that.
That's not his fault.
But he was an All-Pro center. He was the best in the league. But he's not legendary Falcons player.
He's not. I don't know if the Falcons have a legendary center, but it ain't gonna be Alex Mack, because even though he was an incredible player, at the end of the day, when it comes to Falcons greats, it's a name, and you say yay or nay. If you got to think about it, he is not.
Yeah.
And like I said, a bunch of good players came through with the Falcons, right? Vic Beasley, no, because he had one. Yeah. No.
Rasheed Wallace, legendary Falcon. Hawk. Excuse me.
Rasheed. I mean, Carmelo Anthony.
Luka Doncic, legendary.
Legendary Hawk. Joey Bats, legendary Braves.
I mean, the way we're going, like, do you claim Vince Carter? I mean, like,
Josh Johnson, legendary Braves.
Yeah.
No.
Vince Carter played the last 3 years with the Hawks.
You're right, though, Kevin, because look, this is about what you did with the time you had with the Falcons. Not, hey man, he was already a good player. He benefited from a good offense or a good defense. No.
And again, people say that. You're like, what do you mean? I'm not saying Alex Mack was not a great player. I'm just saying don't put him up there in like the Falcons Ring of Honor. Like, come on, he played
if he's going to sign a one-day contract, he's not going to be with the Falcons. He's probably going to be with the Browns. Let's just call it what it is.
Like, he had 5 really good seasons with the Falcons.
Frank Gore,
and that's good.
Like 15 franchises. He retired today.
He signed a 1-year deal.
He signed with who? The San Francisco 49ers. Out of everybody he played with.
Yeah. I think that's probably fair. But
it is. That's what he spent the most time with.
Yeah, it means Frank Gore, a legendary player on like 18 teams.
Frank Gore had he had a legendary career.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was a legendary player.
I just say, like, with certain guys, and again, that's why I use the Shannon Sharp career. Shannon Sharp, legendary Denver Bronco. What he did out there in Denver was amazing. Him and John Elway, what he did with the Broncos. Was he good with the Ravens? Of course he was. Is he a legendary Ravens player? No, I wouldn't say so.
No, he's not.
You say that and you go, "Oh, you're hating on." No, I'm not. Shannon Sharp, great, maybe the best tight end to do it. I think you could put him up there with with him and Tony Gonzalez.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
I just forgot the GM for the Ravens for a long time. He played tight end for the Ozzie Newsome. Ozzie Newsome. Those 3 guys might be the best 3 to ever do it.
No.
So I mean, but it doesn't mean they were legendary.
But the whole thing, it's like baseball. If I play a long time and I end up having a pretty good career, does it make me a Hall of Famer? Could be not. Because you're gonna look at what was the impact. Frank Gore played a long time. You know how many first team All Pros he had? 0. Think about that.
He cashed them checks, though. That's
60,000 yards is a lot of yards, though. So congratulations to him on a hell of a career. Congratulations to Alex Mack on a hell of a career. Love you, Alex Mack. You are not a legendary Falcon. And whoever said, hey, people mean different things to different people. But when I think of Alex Mack, I think, thank you for the contributions. He will not be going up into the Falcons Ring of Honor. I guarantee it.
That's all. It's like, hey, I see Russell Wilson when I look over there at the quarterback situation in Atlanta. It's like, come on, man.
Desmond Ridder.
Ritter.
When I saw him, I said, bruh.
Kind of reminds me of Russell Wilson. No, again, we are quick to hand out the accolades.
When I first got to Florida, they gave me number 88. You know who wore 88? Aaron Kenny. I said, if y'all don't give me 84 right now, because I am not finna look nothing like
Who was 84?
There's nobody at the point at that time. Let me get it. And
they didn't give it to you?
No, they did.
Okay.
It was right before we did like a fan day. Let me put on that 80. I had 80. Let me get that 84. Ooh, let's do it. Like I'm not.
So you had the same number for the whole time at Florida?
Yeah, I had 84 the whole time. And
what did you wear in high school? Was it
84?
You wore it because you said you were
I wore 84.
You what, safety?
No,
play safety in D end or something?
Yeah. So what happened was, I mean, not to put
wearing 84.
I was a good open field tackle. Usually I was good at chasing people and running them. Come here, but at the same time, wore 84 in high school, wore 84 in college, wore 86, and I wore 84 in the pro. So I wore 84 for 3 years with the Titans. I wore 86 my rookie year. I wore 83 when I was with the Bucks, and I wore 88 again when I was with the Raiders. But I did a trifecta. I did the 84, 84, and 84. That was because of I wore 84.
I was gonna say there's not many guys that get to do that.
No. Not especially now with
What was it about 84? Is that just like freshman year they said, "Here, put this on"? Or no, you did. Okay, that's fine. But you weren't a tight end in high school necessarily.
I was. Well, what it was is.
But you were more. You've told us before you played better on defense than you did offensively in high school. So that's what I'm saying.
But
84 would be kind of like a weird.
But what happened was, you start talking about,
I know we're way off subject here, but this is fascinating.
Your body started feeling it, right? And I ain't gonna lie to you. When I didn't play football my freshman year, and they won it all. That JV, the Butler High School JV team won it all. 96, 97, 98 school year, sophomore year, they put me on JV, and they were like, and they said, okay, you're gonna play tight end. I play tight end, I play kicker, and I play punter. I was a kicker and a punter.
How was the kicking?
The kicking was on days I felt good. I can launch that thing. And certain days the things get real line drivish. But what happens is when they finally moved me to tight end for real, like I'm like, well, dude, because I didn't know what it was. Like, what's the tight end? Like, what is that? And I'm like, okay, big receiver, I got it. Boom. And I just kept wearing 84 or whatever. And the thing about it is they put me more on offense. Like they said, okay, what can you best serve us? Offense. So I didn't play. So what happens is they put me on defense. Sometimes they put me at safety or whatever. Because
wearing 84, yeah.
Listen, when I tell you that running back break through the line quickly, and try to get low, and I was good at not giving running backs a two-way go. I would like stand on one side and force it. I just understood angles, plus I knew if he get by me, it's 6. I can't catch him. Shout out to Terrence Edwards, who was playing for Washington County. I played against him in high school, and my God, that kid, he was playing quarterback. So all I'm saying is, for me, the tight end position, what it is. Now, it wasn't like that when I was playing it, because you had certain guys that was just athletic, more athletic than all the other guys. Most tight ends were what it was. He wore an 80 number, he catch passes now and again, and it's very, very forgettable. But when we was coming out, man, they were starting to really like use the tight end more, like what Kyle Pitts and Travis Kelce and Darren Wall. What it is now is guys are saying, hey, dude, I want one of those. It's not, oh, that kid is athletic, he's tall, he's big. So, hey, man, but yeah, I did a trifecta, 84, 84, and 84. Randy Moss actually wore 84 with the Titans, so we wore the same jersey, if you want to call it that. You know what I'm saying? But no, man, it was cool. I enjoyed it.
we got more to come here on this Thursday. SEC meetings going on in Destin. What's coming out of this stuff? We'll get to that next. It's 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back here on 3 and Out on this Thursday. SEC meetings in Destin this week. Ben, obviously a lot of talk about the future schedules when Oklahoma and Texas come in. It would appear as they're headed towards a non-pod system. They didn't officially come out and say it, but a lot of people feel like most of the league will lean toward, hey, give us 3 permanent opponents, rotate everybody else. If we can play everybody in the league, home and home, over a 4-year span, we'll take that. I think that was the overwhelming majority of, look, playing each other more is what we want. The more we can play SEC teams, the better. I think even Georgia's AD came out and said, look, the fact that, our fans come up to me and say, how has Texas A&M been in the league this long and Georgia has never been to Kyle Field? Like, never been there. Never been there. And you have certain things like that. It's like you don't play Alabama. You don't play certain teams very often. I think everybody's in agreement they want to rotate it on more often. And that would give Ben, if you're an incoming freshman at an SEC school, you stay 4 years, I'm going to play at Texas. I'm going to play at Oklahoma. I'm going to play at Texas A&M. I'm going to play at Auburn. I'm going to play at Alabama. I'm going to play at, well, maybe not Florida if you go to Georgia because of Jacksonville, but who knows? I did see where, was it Scott Strickland? Am I saying that right? He's the AD at Florida, right?
Yes.
I get that. I want to make sure right because I think Georgia's baseball coach is also Scott Strickland. So I'm trying to make sure. So Scott Strickland at Florida came out and said, hey, we thought about renewing our deal with Jacksonville, and we've put that on hold for a minute until we figure out the schedule. So I think they're good through like 2023 in Jacksonville, and they're like, we want to see what this schedule looks like in the SEC before we do it. So never say never, but it could wind up at Georgia and Florida at some point.
Ooh,
I'm not trying to feed that. I did not want to open that can of worms today. I'm just saying that was said at the meetings. But as a former player, you got to like the fact that, hey, if I go to an SEC school, I will play at every single stadium in the league during my 4 years at said school.
It's incredible. It's incredible because for those who don't understand how incredible of a feat that is. I mean, I was at the University of Florida for 4 years. I never played at Alabama. Never played Alabama. Played Arkansas once at Arkansas. And when you start thinking about the prestige of playing at these places, right? We played at Mississippi State my freshman year, but I didn't go. So I did get a chance to play Mississippi State at home. Played Ole Miss once at their place, once at our place.
Pretty famous game for you against Ole Miss. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Thanks a lot, Eli Manning, for just dropping dimes all game against our defense. But I think that's a great selling point when you're saying, look, you're going to play every team in the SEC in the next 4 years. Outside of the 3 teams are going to be part of your, you got 3 teams in which you're going to play every single year. But I think that kind of stuff is important. The best game I played in my 4 years at the University of Florida was my senior year. We played at Arkansas. Why? Because a guy named Titus Peoples, his mom name was Christine Peoples. She was the pastor of our church, Victor Timber Church. Grew up terrorizing this woman's kitchen, terrorizing this woman's refrigerator. But think about this. 2 Swainsboro boys grew up with each other. Titus would always tell me about how, my dad served as his dad because he grew up without his dad, right? Went to the same, was there with our usher pins on. We opened up, because Victor Temple was a church that was closed down. We opened it back up in 99. Me, Quentin Boynton, my brother said, with our little usher pins on, with our little white button-up long sleeve black slacks, with our little funny little color ties just matching. I'm already going to Florida. Titus wins it all in Swainsboro. They won it all in 2001. That's my freshman year. My freshman year of college. He tells me he goes to Georgia Military College first 2 years. I said, man, where you going? He said, I'm going to Arkansas. Right? Then, so we play him. I said, I'm looking at the schedule my senior year. Oh, man, we got him. He tells me all week, they say, we call each other cousins, man, because we know each other. He was born July 3rd, 82. I was born September 1st, 82. So I knew him before I knew me. He said all week, he says, hey, Titus, hey, people, TP, man, you going to be telling your cousin the game plan? You going to be telling them what we going to be doing? We in Arkansas. We in Little Rock. I think we in Little Rock or Fayetteville. I think they got 2 stadiums.
They do. Like Arkansas is the one of those, like they do play at 2 stadiums.
We were in Fayetteville. We were in Fayetteville because he kept saying, hey, we've been in Little Rock, they would have beat us. Right? That's what he told me. I come in motion. I'm behind the line. He's sitting there at D tackle, and I'm trying my and I'm trying my best. I'm not physically going up against him because he's the interior D lineman. I think about if he's at Arkansas, I'm at Florida, we don't play each other. Because I don't remember all the games. I don't remember, but that kind of stuff is. I got to go to Ole Miss with the freaking with the hottie toddies and the freaking
in the Grove and all that.
And the freaking speed limit is 18 miles an hour. I regret I wasn't good enough to make the travel squad my freshman year to go to Mississippi State without the cowbell. I think about now, if I'm at Florida, you get to see what Texas is really like. I get to see what Oklahoma is really like. That kind of stuff is what makes college. And I think what it is, Kevin, you're right. It's almost like saying, look, they ain't played each other in 10 years? What? Like, so that kind of, when Alabama coming to Florida last year, that's huge. That's Alabama. So I do think, Kevin, it's a step in the right direction because I want to know what it would have been like. Now, Alabama wasn't what it is now. They didn't have Nick Saban back then. Nick Saban was at LSU then, 2003. Right? LSU wins the national championship. They lost one game. Who you think they lost to? Them boys. Freshman quarterback by the name of Chris Leak. So you are right, Kevin. I do like the fact that because the Texas and the Oklahoma is coming in, you want to say, hey, man, everybody should get to play each other. I don't know why it took Texas and Oklahoma coming in to get everybody to play. But I do think that's how it should be. Certain rivalries will get, they will keep them intact, like the Iron Bowl, like the Egg Bowl, like the cocktail party. What's the one with is it Texas A&M LSU? What do they call it? Is that what it is? What is it another? You said it on the first segment. Who's the other game to where is it? I know you got Florida Georgia. You got the Egg Bowl. You got the Iron Bowl. Is there another? They call it. Do they call it something? I know. I'm obviously.
I know Texas, LSU and Arkansas is the Golden Boot.
The Golden Boot. Okay, yeah. Because I do think that when you start talking about what the SEC has and nobody else has is the biggest names and the biggest brands all in one spot. And that's not taking nothing away from Notre Dame, the biggest brand. That's not taking nothing away from Clemson, and North Carolina and Florida State and Miami and USC. That's not taking nothing, and the Georgia Tech. They don't take nothing away from that. But Kevin, if somebody goes, hey Kevin, I'm throwing an Atlanta Braves grades party. Who's gonna be there? All of them. Name one. Andrew Jones there. Smokes there. It's like everybody's there, and you add a Brian Kelly, right? When you start thinking about the biggest names in sports, they don't get much bigger than Nick, right? Then you got Kirby, you got Brian Kelly, right? Even though I would have loved to still have Coach O in this thing, because you think Jimbo would have said something about Coach O? Oh, the meetings would have went a little different. He would have, he would have, what's your name? But I'm just saying. So I like the step. I like the step to that. But this is the thing though, Kevin. Was this discussed? Is the SEC willing to break away from the NCAA? That might be, and I think
those might have been super close meetings.
And obviously, can they come up with a definitive? We know what it is. Rules are on the front of the box. They got this game called NIL. We want to know.
Well, they didn't come out with anything, but I know they were talking about trying to come up with inter-conference rules, like, hey, this is the SEC and this is how we're going to operate. Although that may have been a good talking point because I didn't see anything definitive come out, Ben. And I think that's one of those where I think from the coaches and maybe even ADs individually, they'll publicly come out and say, yeah, we really got to rein this in. And then behind the scenes go, if we could take our time coming up with some rules, because this seems to be working out where we're able to do some things. But I thought they might have some kind of NIL policy. I didn't see anything come out from that. Transfer policy, I think Kirby, they said they talked about it a lot. I thought Kirby Smart forwarded some nice ideas of having specific windows.
Yeah.
I don't know that you have to say, hey, this is my window if I'm going to transfer within the SEC, but I think 2 windows is enough time for young men to make up their mind if they're going to transfer now. And it allows the team to know, hey, are you leaving me? Or are you going to drag me along for 2 more months and then leave me? So I think that, to me, I wish they would have come out with something more on that of the SEC, even if it's the SEC saying, look, because I think much like Greg Sankey came out, it's like, well, we will even talk about doing an SEC only tournament. He knows if the SEC comes out and says, guys, the SEC is going to do 2 windows for transferring. If you are a current student athlete at an SEC program by February 1st, or whatever that window is, January 20th to February 1st, you have a week to declare that you are transferring. If you don't do it by then, you have to wait. Then you have you have a week after the spring in May where you can say, hey, here's another week. If you don't transfer in this window, that's it.
Yeah, I mean,
You're staying. And I think if the SEC came out and said that, it would probably take 2 seconds for a couple other conferences to say, yeah, we're with that as well. Because I think people don't have a problem with kids transferring. I think it's the unfettered transferring that people have an issue with. And they just want to know what they're
running. I know people don't like coaches coming up with the best ideas, but the coach is saying, look, man, it's a selfish intent, but it's also looking out for the kid. Because, look, I'm trying to give you the best. If there is a window that every kid is leaving and all these others, because let me tell y'all something right now. If you don't think that other schools are going crazy when these SEC kids are leaving, oh, they are. But, Kevin, if I know, it's like a baseball tournament. If I'm scouting the best baseball players in the Southeast, I'm going to the tournament where they're all at. I don't have time to go to every single school. This kid, this one here, oh, I mean, we got a kid over here, got a nice slide. We got a kid over here that can hit for power. Oh, they at the tournament? Yeah. So I can just sit there, watch the games, or we can go, hey, man, I'm going to go watch these games. And I think that's what it is. Give me a window, right? And I know Kirby kind of threw it out and said, you're going to do, especially you're going to be in and out. Coach, you don't decide if I'm in and out the conference.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think, because if I transfer, unless I have something already set up, which you're not supposed to, how do you know you're going from Georgia to Ole Miss or what? I'm just throwing that out there. Like, how do you know that if you want to go to Ole Miss, they will take you, or vice versa? So I don't think you need to have a conference-specific window, but I think you do need to have it. We do it for all the other sports when you want to go to the pros, right? Hey, I'm going to put my name in to the NBA draft. Ooh, looks like there's 70 underclassmen in this thing and only 70 or 76. I'm going to come back out of this thing.
And the thing is, too, Kevin, when you think about it,
but there's a deadline to do that.
Rules are a good thing. I mean, I'm not, because it makes it so that it's kind of like a highlight again. Hey, man, set number of players are transferring, and, maybe, that means these teams say, hey, man, so-and-so's leaving. Instead of, and mind you, that gives the, quote, non-quarterback an opportunity to land somewhere. Quarterbacks are different, man. Quarterbacks going to have their pick of the litter. They're going to get decided because they're a dime a dozen. 5-star quarterbacks, 4-star quarterbacks, ain't that many of them across the nation. But if I am a Jermaine Johnson, that things winded up pretty good for him down there at Florida State. If I got a window, I'm not saying I want to go to Florida State, but now I got my pick of the litter again. So, yeah, that is a step in the right direction. Like I said, big-time football, big-time decisions have to be made. You are a big-time player at said school, and you want to leave. You want to give yourself the best opportunity. I got to pick where I went the first time. I kind of want to pick where I go the second time, and I mean pick a school that I want to go to, not the schools that's left.
Again, SEC meetings wrap up. I'll be interested to see what that check looks like, because that's usually the highlight of SEC meetings there in the spring. No, by the way, you each walk out of here with $60 million or whatever it's going to be. We'll get to more. Come here. It's 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Welcome back, 3 and Out on this Thursday. Kevin and Ben here, Braves and Rockies from Denver coming up later tonight, but also game one, Ben, of the NBA Finals, Celtics and Heat. Are we in the middle of a Golden State dynasty? You said, hey, they're already there. But if they get another one, despite all the hate, I know you could say, hey, they rented Kevin Durant for a couple of years and got some. I know that's the stigma that follows LeBron is, you put together super teams for a couple and got rings. Is that the stigma that stays with Golden State? Or look, this is a dynasty in and of itself?
I think it's a dynasty in and of itself. I think that being able to recruit a guy like Kevin Durant shows that you can look at it two ways. They had already won a championship without Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant sure as hell wouldn't have no championships if he did not go to Golden State. You look at what his career has been, outside of Golden State. But Kevin, I think it is a dynasty. And I don't just throw that out there. Greg Popovich and company had a dynasty. They won 5. They did it with different players. The Lakers had 3 sets of dynasties. When you look at the fact they had the Showtime Lakers, with Kareem and Magic, and company. Then they came back with Kobe and Shaq. Then they did it with Kobe without Shaq. You talk about this Golden State team. No one saw this coming. No one saw the likes of Steph, Draymond, and obviously Klay Thompson. All people built through the draft, by the way, with Draymond Green being the second-round pick, right? And now I will say this, Kevin. This will be, if they do win, this will be Steph Curry's 4th. This will be Klay Thompson's 4th. This will be Draymond Green's 4th. This will be Andre Iguodala's. I want to say it'll be Andre Iguodala's 4th. I think he was with the Golden State Warriors for all those, and he has a Finals MVP. It will be a dynasty, Kevin. And Steph Curry, if he gets to 4, will be the LeBron James of his era. I can say that safely. He doesn't need the Finals MVP.
If he gets a 5th one, would he be above LeBron?
Probably.
I'm just saying, I know LeBron physically, we haven't seen a whole lot like that.
As a player, I don't know, man. It's hard to say that, but it could definitely be that, Kevin, because like I said, it's from the most.
Just because you have them doesn't mean you're great. Robert Ory's got 6, I think.
It's from the most unlikely of sources. If somebody would have said, oh my God, which ain't no Chicago, they ain't been, good Lord, they ain't been nothing since The Last Stand. I just think that, yes, Kevin, and with so many, yes, they brought in Kevin Durant. I'm not saying that Draymond did call in Kevin Durant. But to keep guys together that long, Draymond, Klay, and Steph might be lifers, man. And Draymond Green might be the smartest player in basketball. Undersized, power forward, small forward, can play the 3, the 4, and the 5. And he's the reason why David Green, who was an all-star shot at the University of Florida, had to go on to the Knicks. because he was an all-star at the time. So yes, Kevin, I will say, but is this if the Celtics can win it? Can we you talking about dynasties? My goodness. And Kevin, you said this. Winning with Golden State is great. Winning with the Lakers is everything. Winning with the Celtics, wow, that's legendary status because that's Beantown. That's the city of champions. So if Brown and Tatum and Smart and Al Horford and company, if they can get one, can they be on a run? And now, Al Horford, he's kind of on that LeBron. He ain't gonna never stop playing. I ain't mad at him. But yeah, Kevin, if Golden State does, they already got a dynasty. They still very, very relevant. When the Steph and Klay and Draymond are healthy, they're hard to beat. But if Tatum and company can get it done, wow, you talk about something really, really special on guys that are really, really young.
So who wins here?
I just think that Steph and company, they got so much experience. They understand that they don't got to sweep nobody. They just get better as the game goes on. How do you stop the shooting of Steph and Klay? The IQ of Draymond. The role players of Wiggins and Andre Iguodala. They got so many guys, man, and they've all done it. They've all been in this position. The moment is not too big. I think it's gonna go 6. I hope it goes 7. But give me Golden State in 6. I think it's gonna be a hell of a series. But I just think Steph Curry, never seen anything like him shooting the basketball.
Game 1 tonight. We've got game 1 of the Rockies and the Braves. The Braves out in the Mile High City. We'll get you ready for that when we return. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back here on this Thursday. Braves are in the Mile High City against the Rockies. Ian Anderson tonight for the Braves. Austin Gomber for the Rockies. He's got a 2-5 record with a 5.51 ERA. I know it's the Mile High City, but dare I say opportunity. Ronald Acuna DHing tonight for the Braves. Will not be out there. The Braves starting a first of 4 games in Denver coming up. We'll have it for you 7:25 tonight.
It's time to get back to basics, Kevin. It's time to start working on this consistency. I know we always talking about what is the magic number for the Braves. It could be winning 3 in a row. For a confidence booster for them and for a consistency standpoint for them. I mean, I do like the fact they do got Ronald Acuna Jr. in the lineup, if you want to call it, even though he is the DH. I just think that this Braves team, Kevin, once again, they're on the road. And the Mets way down the road. Now you can still see them. You can't see them like you used to see them. Focus less on catching the Mets and focus more on handling your business night in and night out. Hopefully, you can put a dent in that 10.5 game.
Yeah, I mean, 10.5, it is concerning that, again, you're in a easier turn of the schedule and you've not made up any ground. You actually lost some ground. So 10.5 back of the Mets. Got to go out and get it done tonight. I will say, now, it may not make Ian Anderson and those guys feel better, but if there is a place where your offense can come around, it is Coors Field. It is the thin air. It's the little bigger ballpark. Runs are known to happen out there in Coors Field. So maybe this is a jump start for the Braves. They've had some pretty interesting things happen out there in Coors Field before, so maybe it's an opportunity for them tonight to get something started. As Ben said, you only got to win 2 now to get 3 in a row. So you win tonight, you win Friday night, and what do we call that? A winning streak.
That's right.
I mean, heaven forbid that happens. But no, Braves tonight, Ian Anderson against Austin Gomber, trying to go for 2 in a row after a tough overstay there in Arizona where, well, outside of yesterday, we won't talk about much of what happened there in Arizona. Appreciate Rich Stiles joining us here on the show. Ben, we'll talk more about the Braves tomorrow on the program. Gore Vidoc of Battery Power will join us on the program. Talk a lot about young Michael Harris, who has come up and really, really played well for the Atlanta Braves. Also, look at the end result there of the SEC meetings and what's to come moving forward for college football and the SEC coming out of those meetings. We will see you tomorrow. If you missed any portion of the show, ESPNCoastal.com. Go to YouTube at ESPN Coastal on YouTube. You can watch us live or go back and watch any portion of the show that you missed. Apple Podcasts, Spotify. If you want an audio version of the podcast, you can do that there as well. We'll see you tomorrow here on 3 and Out.